Fucking neoliberalism.
Did you hear we're having a general election or something?
Fucking neoliberalism. Fucking neoliberalism.
Good evening, chat. How are we all? It's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's been a while. It has been a while since I was last here with you all. I hope everyone's doing well. It's good to see you. That camera's at way the wrong angle. There we go. I did have a very good time in Italy. Thank you. Thank you, Harry. It was great. I am now technically, actually, it's not tech. I'm not necessarily a magic professional, but I am now qualified for the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour. I mean, I'm technically qualified for the one in June in Amsterdam, but that's right in the middle of the election season when I need to be A, campaigning, and B, broadcasting. So, I'm not really in the position to go to that Pro Tour, so I might email. I'm technically free. I did come back from like Zante on the 26th. I was going straight from Zante to the UK back to Amsterdam if I do go, but I might ask Wizards of the Coast if I can defer my Pro Tour invite to the next one. Also means not playing Modern, which is a shit format. Did I win all the games with Golgari mid-range? I mean, I did beat all Golgari mid every time I played against it, if that's what you mean. But yeah, I came... So there were 810 players at the event. I came 20th, which was good enough for the Pro Tour invite, an invite to the next regional championship. And I then also got a bunch of goodies and also $1,200 in prize money. So it was a profitable weekend, shall we say? A profitable weekend, well worth missing out on 5 days of work for. Yeah, Luke. So I
become
got
prime minister way back in like '95 or some dumb shit, and he's stepping down this year. So,
hey, Kev.
mad times. Hello there, Helena. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
Well, that's you can't leave. You leave, and the country goes to shit.
I mean, literally, the fact that Rishi Sunak announced the election whilst I was in the departure lounge at Gatwick Airport, it was really quite a funny moment.
That can't be a coincidence. I refuse to believe that's a coincidence. He thought, she's out of the country. Hopefully she's gone for 6 weeks. We're going to have to go now. Now!
I'm going out to Zante on the 19th of June as well. There might be if there's a Rishi Sunak no confidence vote on the 19th. Maybe I'm going to trigger that.
On the 19th?
Yeah.
That'll be after the election. What?
No, 19th of June.
Oh, June. Sorry. Okay. What? Well, they can't really be at that point, can they?
I mean, no, they can't, but it'd be funny if it did. I mean...
it would be very funny.
We're literally in the banter timeline. Anything is possible.
Well, they literally were. They were trying to stop... There was, I mean,
Here's
it was only probably like about
winner.
a dozen maybe or something. Tory backbenchers who were trying to they were still trying to get the 1922 committee. After he'd stood in the pissing down of rain and announced the election, they were still going to try and get rid of him and cancel the election.
Yeah.
How fucking mental. How do you think that makes your situation better in any fucking way? You lunatic bastards. Honestly, I want to know what kind of drugs they're on. Cocaine, obviously. That's the entirety of the Tory backbenches. There's two things they like. Non-consensual sex and cocaine. Those are the two things they love.
True, it has been known. It has been known. Absolutely. Absolutely.
True. Anyway, how was your trip?
Oh, it was great. I qualified for the Pro Tour. I won $1,200 in prize money.
Fucking nice.
Yeah, as well as some extra stuff.
There's serious money in it then.
Yeah, absolutely. The first prize was $16,000.
Oh, fuck me. That is proper moolah. That's mental.
Yeah, so there were 800 players and I came 20th.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was so it was like, so I think it went down to, like 3,000 up to the 8th place. Then 9th to 16th was 2,000. 17th to 24th was 1,200, and then it was 800, 500, 300 down to 64th place.
Look,
so that's pretty good.
She posts W's on the rig, and this is just another one. Common Helena dub. Absolutely lovely work. Lovely work.
And suppose honestly, the money's just a bonus. I'm mostly there just because I really wanted to qualify for the Pro.
No, that's fair enough, but that's proper. Yeah. That's actual proper money.
Literally actual money. Just I need to hope that it gets paid to me in a reasonable time frame. Which, given Wizards of the Coast's previous format, I have my doubts.
And can you not pay to me in pounds? Because I mean, you might as well pay me in bottle caps. It's worthless.
I don't
Euros, dollars, whatever. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna get like taxed if it's coming from America. If they're gonna, do we have a tax treaty? Does that include prize money? I have no idea.
Well, prize money's not taxed in the UK at all.
It's not. It's not.
I don't know. I don't think it is in America either. It
is in the United States. There's loads of stories of this is why like game shows will give away non-cash prizes because half the time the poor contestants that they get on there
get taxed. Yeah. Oh shit.
They say, well, I can't afford to take the prize because I can't afford the tax on it.
Oh, that's mad, isn't it?
That's crazy. Yeah, it's stupid. For once, like the low tax country, he's the one that's doing too much tax.
Well, yeah, because that's not going to, like, there aren't people on Wall Street winning, 50 grand on a TV show because
Well,
they're earning
exactly.
billion. So they're not taxing the people who've actually got the money.
No,
They're taxing
exactly.
people who might get
It's very, very silly. Oh, on top of the
12 grand.
on top
Yeah,
of
go on.
$1,200, I got a free deck box, which is worth very little.
Don't know what that is.
It's a box to put a deck of cards in. And I also got a €50 voucher for Card Market, which seems pretty small in comparison to $1,200. They also gave me like a prize card, like a promotional Magic the Gathering card as part of my prize pool. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's a card. Turns out, because there's only a very limited print run just for this set of regional championships, so like America, Canada, South America, Europe, a couple of other places. So probably like 200, 250 of this very specific card in existence. So the actual card itself is worth $500 on its own.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. I had it tucked into my passport. Like, I thought it was worth nothing, whatever. It's just one random card. No, massively expensive.
That's ridiculous. And also, I can't help but feel that because of the degenerative nature of what this pastime is, it's a little bit like they're enabling you at this point. It's like a crack dealer going, you've won a free pipe. Well done. Woo! Like, they're just encouraging you further down the line towards the devil, basically. Okay, I'm trying to draw you back onto the path of light here. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the people who are holding the real estate are the ones paid off when the pound crashes. So
that's true. That's true.
I mean, my mate who I went with was literally there looking at the traders who buy and sell like the individual cards. They had their little stalls at the event so people could do their little bits of trading with the professional traders. And my mate was looking at the buy list for his cards that he's had for ages, that from the 90s, like really old cards. And he was just like, hang on a minute, like the cards that they want to buy off me are worth like 300, 400, like €600 each. And I was like, yeah, I've got like 4 of each of these. I could have just turned up with like a box full of deck box full of cards and walked away with a house deposit. I was like, that's how much these cards are worth nowadays. That's
mental. Yeah. That's really mental. But I mean, congrats! Yeah, you are the Victoria Coram Mitchell of Magic the Gathering. Yeah,
true. Yeah, known for my politics, but make loads of money. I say loads of money. I have made a non-zero amount of money playing card games.
True. Well, I'm glad you had fun, and I'm glad that nothing of any importance happened politically whilst you were away.
No, exactly. Nothing to report whatsoever.
Been really quiet, except that general election thing that's literally happening right now. Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to be a particularly interesting election, is it? Because it's basically already been decided at this point.
Well, the result is not, but it's the screaming between now and the result that I'm interested in.
True.
And to say that it's gone badly for the Tories so far is, to put it mildly, I think him standing like a drowned rat in front of Downing Street as Steve Bray blasts the 1997
Fucking
winning anthem for the Labour Party over him, literally loudest. You can't understand what the Prime Minister is saying. That might be the highlight. That might be the peak of the Tories' performance in this election. It's only
going to get worse.
Yeah.
Like the discourse around their like national service push has been so comical. It's been so comical because
it's such a stupid. It's nothing. It's going to be mandatory, but you're not going to get arrested. It's not mandatory then, is it? Because I'm just not going to turn up. Then you cunt. What do you mean?
They literally used the phrase. What was it? Compulsory volunteering, and I'm like, that is a contradiction in terms. I think you'll find
they don't know what words mean. It's not compulsory. It's just not. If I don't turn up, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. Okay then.
Apparently there was a thing going around Twitter. I don't know if it's real, saying that parents might get fined for it if their kids don't turn up, but they're adults. They're 18-year-olds.
They're 18-year-olds. What the fuck? What? So now you're just like lifelong dependency on the parent then, or whatever.
I think
That's
this is
They're,
how people in
this,
politics think of 18-year-olds. They
they're
still,
just
they, oh, well,
rushing around desperately. It's
yeah,
embarrassing.
they think that all young people are just still tethered to their parents because, of course, people like Rashid Sunak, sorry, to use his real name, people like Rishi Sunak were just kind of suckling on the teat of their parents' riches and wealth well into adulthood, and they think that's the real life for everybody else.
So,
And on top of that, if the only penalty is a fine, that means it's legal for rich people. So, now we know, right? So what happens, it means, is that all of the wealthy upper class rich kids, who are the ones who genuinely need to be doing community service to understand that society is a thing that exists, that responds well to people putting in the hours outside of what they deem to be financially viable, those are the ones who are just going to have parents rich enough to bail them out and pay for them not to have to do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just everything about this is just bad and stupid. He's had a couple of delightful gaffes, old Rashid, with going to Wales and asking them whether they were looking forward to the football, which they haven't qualified for. So that went well. The one part of Great Britain that line doesn't work. Rishi, well done, bravo. He went to Belfast to the Titanic docks because apparently the sinking, headline writers don't need your charity, Rishi. You don't need to give them sinking ship lines, mate. Come on, they're trying to lose. They are actually trying to lose. I'm convinced of it. No one can be this incompetent. They can't. I refuse to believe it.
Which the thing is, I think that it's clear to me from what we've heard of the rhetoric so far. Like, they've just put out campaign adverts recently where they've got like threat level posters for the national security risks of all of the Labour ministers that people could potentially voting into power. It's clearly the line that they're going with is that Labour can't be trusted to keep society safe in a scary world, which is of course incredibly fascistic. To say that everybody who disagrees with this is national security, you must agree with us, or all of your kids are going to die. Like that kind of scaremongering. It's genuinely kind of rancid authoritarian politics.
Yep.
But I think everyone knows it's clear. I think usually with when the Tories of yesteryear were a kind of well-oiled campaigning machine, they are of course the most successful political party on the face of the earth.
Yeah,
people would genuinely take stuff like this seriously, especially if it was done well. But now everybody knows that the Tories are a gigantic train wreck because the wheels have well and truly fallen off in like a post-Johnson world. Nobody takes it seriously. Everything they do looks stupid. All of it is understandably marketed to the public as being incredibly insincere. It's all being framed by the media, especially, who would usually be very kind of Tory-centric, as being talked about for being the flagrant electioneering that it is, right? Although you don't believe that young people would get a benefit from national service. You don't actually believe that. But what you do know is that a bunch of boomers in your voter base think that the young uns need a good kick up the backside to get them back to life, right?
They are campaigning in the same way that they've governed, in that they want just one day of good Daily Mail headlines. That's all they're hoping for, is tomorrow's Daily Mail headline won't be terrible for them. That's all they're doing, is just trying to get from day to day, just continue to exist. It was the same before, and they just pump out some shit and hope to get a good headline somewhere. And this is so perfectly designed just for a very select group of boomers who read the Daily Mail. That's all this policy is for.
The curtain switches.
The only people that this is for. And those people, Rishi, they're voting for fucking reform, you prick. You've lost them. It's over. It's over, mate.
The thing is, all of these people now all think that Rishi Sunak is an agent of the World Economic Forum. Like a bunch of the brain-broken boomers who are usually kind of Tory voters, they genuinely believe that the Tories have been taken over by the Schwab cabal trying to make them eat the bugs. Like, that is the kind of world a bunch of these people inhabit, and they're all moved up to Reform UK, the conspiracy theory party, who are clearly playing to the crowd in a way that the Tories just don't know how to do. Like, it's going to be an absolute cavalcade of hilarity watching the Tories absolutely fun. Like someone just today on Bumble messaged me saying, "Well, what's your general election prediction?" They'd seen that I talk about politics in my Bumble bio, and they were like, "What's your prediction for the election?" Well, I said 100-seat Labour majority, and I was like, "But depending on how the campaign goes, probably going to be bigger than that." And given what we've seen so far, almost certainly going to be bigger than that. Because Sunak's terrible. Like I was mentioning this to Ross, the guy who went on holiday. I say on holiday. It was a trip to play Magic, I guess, but even so, it felt like a holiday. I was talking to him about this when this trip, that clip of Rishi Sunak asking the homeless guy if he owned a business was going viral.
Yeah.
And because not only is Rishi Sunak massively out of touch because of his gigantic wealth, not only are all his policies shit, not only are the Tories hated, not only he himself is just like genuinely really unlikable. In every interview, he's combative,
This entire campaign will just be Rishi Sunak flying by private jet to stand uncomfortably in various places across the country.
And then
that's all this will be.
And get interviewed by people where he'll act affronted at the idea that his authority is ever being challenged because he spent his entire life getting his own way at private school and shuffling numbers around at Goldman Sachs. But on top of all of this, right, I wouldn't forgive all of this, but I could theoretically forgive all of this if he wasn't so fucking terrible at politics as well. Like, not only is every single facet, every single possible part of his personality deeply reprehensible, everything that he believes, everything that he says, his actions, his mannerisms, his general demeanour. On top of that, he just fails miserably at turning any of what little kind of potential political sway he would have on people. He just cannot leverage it whatsoever. He always says and does the thing that would most make people never want to vote for him in his party ever. And quite frankly, good. I'm glad that the Tories are going to get absolutely annihilated, and then 5 minutes later I'll realise what they're being replaced with.
Yeah, but let's just enjoy it's like, you're going to be hungover, but let's just enjoy getting wrecked. Fuck it.
True.
Just enjoy the drink. Anyway, just today, just to take you through a few of just collapsing bricks of the Tory building existence.
At this point, it's barely even a building. It's more like it's more like the Associated Press tower block in Gaza. Topical,
bro. Yes. By the way, did you see? We'll get to it when we get to Starmer. The president of the Birmingham Young Conservatives. I didn't even realise there were any such people in the city, but apparently they do.
Young Conservative. That man's fucking 50.
No. To be fair, that's not him. That's just the person who works for this. For the Express and Star newspaper. No, that's not
right.
That is funny. I hadn't even put two and two together. I presume that's Adam Smith, the journalist. Anyway,
how do you do, fellow kids?
It looks like Gove's cousin or something. Anyway, no. He resigned and joined the Liberal Democrats. Right,
Harvey Whitby. Right, okay, there you go.
It's quite funny. He says. Policies such as the rushed reintroduction of national service without any clear plan or consideration of its impact on the youth vote in particularly concerning. I fear these missteps won't just lose us the coming election, but will have us locked out of government for a generation or more. Right, so he's resigned. Now, that in of itself isn't the end of the world, although it is quite funny. Right, that was just the start of the day. That was 10 p.m.
Also, let's analyze this for a bit. The first part about this as well is that I love that his reasoning for leaving the Conservative Party wasn't necessarily that they're a party that's democided huge swathes of the UK population deliberately, and on top of that is just full of the most kind of rancid humans you'd ever hope to meet in your life. You wouldn't want to shake hands with them in case it was catching just how massively awful all these people are. It's well, actually, because we've bungled this policy announcement, we're not going to actually potentially be in power, so I'm going to join a party that's going to have more seats. So it's not even necessarily a moral position that's been taken here. It's one of one of access to political power. It shows you the kind of people who join the Conservatives, and also on top of that, the kind of people who join the Liberal Democrats.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm surprised that Starmer didn't poach him with that
true. I guess
him.
If it's in what depends what constituency, and if he's in the blue wall, because the blue wall's coming down.
I know he's in Birmingham, so it's
Birmingham.
Don't need it, mate. Don't need it. They're going to win every fucking seat, and not just that, they're going to win potentially other seats in the West Midlands as well, because the seat of where are we? Telford formerly represented, or I suppose still technically represented, by Lucy Allen MP, who's standing down at this election, but has also been suspended from the Conservative Party for backing the Reform UK candidate to take her seat.
I mean, well, of course, if you've joined the Conservative Party, expecting conservative politics and wanting to see a bunch of things that were in the 2019 manifesto, and none of these things have happened, Rishi Sunak's U-turned all of these with kind of zero electoral mandate to do so. Yeah, like, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that no more Tories have started actively shilling for Reform UK at this point.
Yes. But that's so. How galling would it be to be the Tory candidate in that area and have your predecessor campaigning for fucking Reform UK? And not just that, this guarantees that they're going to split the vote and it's going to go to the Labour Party.
Almost certainly. I mean, there's so many seats that this is happening. Like, I was looking at the MRP stats. Like, the safest Tory seat, not that any of these things exist anymore, because they don't. There are no safe seats.
Yeah.
According to MRP poll, the safest quote-unquote seat is Old Bexley and Sidcup. And the Tories are projected a vote share as 41% in their safest seat.
Oh my God.
That's only 10 points ahead of the projected Labour vote in that seat specifically. It's going to be a massacre.
That's the safest seat in the country.
Yep.
Oh my God, they're going to get wiped out. Oh, because it's just getting worse and worse. Right. So that happened. And you're thinking, okay, that's just one seat though, right? Maybe it's not the end of the world. It's not like, say, the Tory party put out an email slagging off basically all of their candidates in the entire fucking country by accident and sent it out to everybody, right? Surely not. That would be insane. That would be insane if that had happened. Oh my God, it did fucking happen.
Yeah, foreshadowing is a literary device in which...
Yeah. Leaked email hits out Tory MPs for poor start to election campaign. Now, that in of itself, that headline does not do justice to what this is, okay? The Tory party, the CC election headquarters, right? Conservative Party election headquarters, internal memo describing the campaign in various key seats wasn't meant to be made public. Not only was it made public, it was sent to the MPs themselves, basically calling them all a big fucking bunch of cunts. It's so good. It's so good. Conservative staff accused MPs of focusing too much on ministerial business in a document emailed to the party. So again,
how dare they do their jobs as ministers?
Crazy, right?
Governance? What's that?
Yeah. The message had two attachments. One was a constituency breakdown with what appeared to be sanitized comments, while the other had unfiltered thoughts of Conservative staff. The email was later recalled, but the key theme identified was that candidates had failed to, quote, get behind the campaign with some on holiday or refusing to knock on doors. In one case, the memo even disclosed personal health information about a candidate's spouse.
As you do.
Which then becomes a data privacy breach and potentially opens them up to legal litigation. Brilliant.
It is interesting seeing, obviously we've got our perspective of the Labour Party, something that we're close to, and seeing, you know, kind of dysfunctional kind of, you know, a slightly kind of sour atmosphere. And how apparently it's 10 times worse in the Tory party. They're all either fucking each other or stabbing each other in the back.
Well, literally, I mean, look, to give you some indication, the total number of Tories that refused to stand and gave up their seats leading into the 1997 campaign was 72. It's now, I think, 84.
At time of recording.
At time of recording, and there are still like 180 seats they haven't filled yet.
And apparently none of those are going to be for Sebastian Payne, though, which is even...
Oh, no. Oh, that's so good. Mason and Payne have been fucked by both parties. Yes! Fuck yes!
It's so good. It's good. It's exhilarating to watch. Speaking of Tory MPs going on holiday, did you see Steve Baker decided to go on holiday rather than campaign?
Rather than campaign, yeah. Brilliant. Fucking
High Wycombe is like a proper, like, used to be a very Tory seat. Yeah. Although the demographics have changed some over the last, like, 15 years or so. So it's very funny that he's just given up. So many of them have just given up.
Well, literally, we'll hang on, we'll get into it. Speaking to the Times, one MP accused CCHQ of rank incompetence in sending out the comments, while another added, quote, Great way to start a campaign. Piss everyone in a marginal seat off in the first week. Yeah, true. The memo singled out constituencies believed to be part of the 80-20 campaign, which is where they put loads of money in on a specific week in an individual campaign. So basically, it's the week where you're supposed to just, blitz the fucking whole place. You put loads of money into it, into a key marginal constituency. Very important. To pile resources into 80 most marginal seats and the top 20 believed it could gain. In several cases, a lack of funding was raised as an issue in Bury North, the seat held by Deputy Chair James Daly. It was said that the low funds, circa £2,000, met with donors, but so far no donation.
I'm surprised anybody will be door knocking for them. Imagine what it must feel like. I mean, I think it's very funny. I don't have any sympathy because they deserve every single piece of shit that's flying at them, metaphorically speaking, and potentially literally as well. But it must be very miserable and demoralizing to knock on doors knowing that you're defending the absolute fucking shit show of the past 14 years. Just have people spit in your face and tell you to go and play Roblox. That must be your day every single day. I will certainly not be doing any of those things when he Tory canvasses. And absolutely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
I would not recommend anybody else did either of those things at all either. But it must be absolutely miserable.
I wouldn't suggest you set up kind of Rube Goldberg device like traps, like in Home Alone, for any Tories walking up your path. I wouldn't do it. Don't do that. That's bad. In Cheadle, Greater Manchester, where Mary Robinson is MP, it was said that the candidate was away for 7 days on holiday. There's an election happening. And you want people to vote for you, but you just went, fuck it, I'm going on holiday. Fuck you.
I mean, especially if your seat, you know that you're not going to win. Every single seat that's potentially safe, they're all gone. Yeah. So what you should be doing here, because the idea that they're going to try and campaign for marginal seats here is really, it's optimistic. Let's put it that way. But at this point, they should be campaigning in all of their safest seats just so that they have something, so they have enough MPs for a leadership election.
Yeah, honestly, it's gonna end up like the Lib Dems, where they had so few MPs that they all had to have 2 shadow jobs. So you're shadow education and shadow home secretary or whatever, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, they were down to 10 MPs, yeah.
Yeah, it was 10 in 2015, wasn't it? The Clegsidus.
Clegsit. Right there. Right there.
Well, Clegsit was in 2017 when he lost his seat in the sweetest moment of my life. Oh my god.
That was pretty good.
So cathartic watching Nick Clegg look miserable whilst he lost his seat as it was getting read out. But then again, I don't know where I got that from, because the 2017 election never happened. It's not a thing. I don't know when he was talking about 2017 election. Never heard of that.
Did that year even happen? What? But I don't know. 2017 wasn't a thing that ever happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Also, I want to say thank you for the 2 people who just became members, and thank you, Lewis, for the £5 saying welcome back. It's good. Thank you very much for the donations and the memberships. Appreciated to have you back. As of course, on both myself and Kevin's streams, you can subscribe on Twitch. You can drop bits for text to speech for your messages, and also memberships are available for just 99p. I believe on both channels, as well as gifted memberships. The best way to support the stream, and super chats for your messages you want us to read out as well.
Indubitably. So it's going super well for the Tories, as I think we've just elucidated there. Absolutely banging start to it. So basically, this dickhead has just got come out as a nonce or something, and he becomes prime minister in 6 weeks.
Literally, I can think of very few things that he could actually do to lose this election.
He would have to go and murder a child on TV. He's so far ahead. Just,
the thing is, as long as he said,
don't say anything. Don't say any things. Just shot.
To be fair, if he murdered a child in a limited and specific way, a bunch of the Liberals will probably make an excuse for it. They're making excuse for all of those children's that are being killed with his blessing in Gaza. So,
well, exactly. If he's wearing IDF dog tags whilst he does it, then that's just Israel defending itself.
It's
So-
true. Why are you starving
And
children, Keir?
she does.
Why?
She does have a right to defend herself,
Defend
so
herself.
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Why are all the children starving, Keir? It's like, because I'm wearing the IDF dog tags, mate.
Well,
It's
I
free
don't know if
pass.
well, exactly. I don't know if we'll get to it, but there's a press conference bit afterwards, like Q&A with the press, and they asked what would be your message to Benjamin Netanyahu after the Rafah bombing and all the rest of it, and he just went, "Stop." That's it. That was his response, was just to say the word "stop." You fucking melt. You absolutely pathetic, spineless blob of a human being. Fuck off.
He's so pathetic.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I'm sure he'll definitely fucking take that into account, won't he? You absolute bell piece. Jesus Christ. Anyway, are we doing bingo? Or
Yeah,
not?
of course we're doing some bingo.
Let's link it up then. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let me just try and drop the links in chat for everybody.
Let's flipping go. Hang on a minute. I've got to go over to your chat and get the thing, haven't I?
Here is Jack Mellor with the excellent bingo link. Thank you. Let me drop that over in YouTube chat as well.
There we go. Right.
Communist.
I'll drop it in my chat on both as well. If you want to play Keir Starmer bingo, which is Keir Starmer is a very predictable man who has got basically 12 things to say and has said them for the past 3 fucking years, and it hasn't changed, to the point where you can basically play bingo with it. And there we go. We've got Keir Starmer bingo there. And so we'll play.
Let me get these pinned in my chat so everyone's got access to the cards.
Yeah. Hang on a second.
What have you been up to whilst I've been away, whilst we're waiting around, Kev?
What have I been up to? Well, streaming. I debated Destiny. That was fucking pointless.
You debated Destiny? Fuck. What about?
About debating. I shit you not.
Did you call him Mr. Borelli?
I called him Mr. Borelli. I called him Mr. Divorcelli. I told him to suck my dick, and I think I told him to suck my asshole as well.
Excellent. Good work.
Yeah. So it was intellectual stuff, you know. And I challenged him on saying that the idea that Hamas were turning cookies into rocket fuel, because that's fucking ridiculous.
So on that note, Kev. So the Magic the Gathering deck I was playing over the weekend is literally called.
Okay. I cannot wait to see what the tenuous link here is. Go on.
I think it's my deck was called Blue Green Cookies. Was the name of the deck.
Okay.
So I really wanted to call my deck, like when you name the deck for for the coverage, so that they can use it for all of the breakdowns of what people are playing. I really wanted to call myself like the Blue Green Kassam Rockets, but I thought that might have been a little bit poor taste.
A little bit spicy. That one, I think.
But it's clear, it's true.
Fucking
Cookies can become Kassam rockets. I'm reliably informed. So, you know.
Well, look, would someone just do that? Go online and tell lies? Really? Would they let it on the internet if it weren't real? Really? You think about it. I mean, yeah, obviously. Nonsense. Okay. Right, hang on. There we go.
Let me just get my thing oriented correctly.
Hang on, if I put that. No, hang on. I can. Trying to get. There we go. Hang on a minute. I'll move my camera over there. There you go. Now we're cooking on gas. Fuck yes. Boom shakalaka. Okay. So, Sir Keith, in his first big major speech of the election campaign, which you'll note, Rishi, was not outside in the pissing down of rain where people can use boomboxes to drown you out.
Pro tip.
Yeah, pro tip, indoors is a good place to do a speech. Outdoors in the rain, not so much. Call me crazy. Anyway, yes, so should we dig into it?
Let's
play
go
some
for
bingo?
it.
Let's fucking go.
To watch on 1.25 as well, as would take forever.
Yeah.
thank you all for that very warm welcome. Thank you, Tom. You'll be a fantastic candidate and an even better Member of Parliament. And thank you to all of you for coming here on a Monday.
There's a pause one sec, Kev.
Monday,
Said a super chat. CG Man, wealthiest community in the UK, the British Indians are really pumped to vote for Rishi. You were asked to do it as well and to not be a traitor. I'm assuming that you're still not going to do it though, CG Man, but thank you for the $4.99 donation, appreciate you. Although, I mean, do most British Indians vote for the Conservative Party? I'm not even sure.
I don't know. I'm really not sure. Maybe, I mean, there are some small business owner type Indian communities, so they may do, I guess.
Fair enough. Can you let's turn up the YouTube video volume a little bit, if that's possible?
It is not, but what I can do. Hang on a minute. I did have the thing, didn't I? Oh God, volume booster. There we go. Just turn that up here just slightly.
O'clock in the morning, but I suppose at least there's a bit of sun, and we are by the seaside. And of course, we're in Sussex, which is a beautiful part of the world. A part I know pretty well. My sisters live in Sussex, and I've got an uncle who lived actually very close to here. And so it is a part of the world I know well. And like everyone, I imagine, my character is shaped by where I started in life. Now, I grew up in a small town, actually not a million miles from here. It's a place called Oxted, on the Surrey-Kent border. Similar to Lancing, I suppose, in some respects, although no sea. But you should go to Oxted on your way back if you get time. Or
What kind of house did you grow up in, Keith?
I know you regale us stories about your childhood, about plenty of occupations potentially.
Yeah, I'm curious. I need to know.
or when you get time.
Also, as well, like, I want to talk about how him standing up there just in front of a sign that says change makes it either look like a branch of Travelex or a homeless person.
Or homeless, but okay, right, I'm with you. I was like, what the fuck is what are you talking about? Yeah, it does look like, yeah, it's very strange. At least there isn't a QR code. Have you seen that now? There are homeless people with QR codes.
I mean, I was going to say one of the things about like having a cashless society is like how people who are in that kind of position, how are they going to be able to make money? I guess if there's an outreach program that's giving these people access to sum up card readers, probably the easiest way of them to make money at this point. Like, yeah, you can't really swipe your card on people, so having access to that is probably a good way of them being able to access money when no one. Cause I don't fucking carry cash anymore. Who carries cash?
Yeah, I usually have some change in case you need to park or something, but like that's about it.
But even then, like, it's all done on an app now.
Most of it is, yeah.
What you will see is a place that, in my opinion, is about as English as it gets. A mix of Victorian red bricks and pebble dash semis, while all around you've got rolling.
Oh, hang on. I know it's not his pebble dash semi, but he said
the square does just say pebble dash semi.
Yeah, so I'm having that. I'm having it. There you go. Boom, straight on the board. Now it's good to get off the mark. You don't want to get a duck, do you? Let's go.
True.
Nice, easy single, off the mark.
I loved growing up there. You could make easy money clearing stones for the local farmers. That was actually my first ever job. You could play football.
Clearing stones for farmers? What? I don't get country people. I don't get it. Whatever.
I don't have pebble dash semi on my bingo
My
card.
first football club was Athletic FC. I was very proud of this. We shared our home pitch with the local cows, which may say something about the way I play football. But not just the beauty or
what the fuck does that mean?
So the sort of quiet, uncomplaining resilience, the togetherness of the countryside. That is the best of British. And to be honest, it's just as well because you need it. I mean, anyone who thinks that hardship in Britain is found only in our cities, anyone who thinks there's no struggle outside of our cities, yes, even here in the southeast, let me tell you, they know nothing of the countryside. And in a way, my story is testament to this, because it wasn't easy for us. My dad was a toolmaker. He worked in a factory
Hey! Boom.
Nice, easy one to get me kicked off. Did he say? I mean, you talked over a sec. Did he say his mum was a nurse as well?
I don't think he did. Hang on a minute.
because it wasn't easy for us. My dad was a toolmaker. He worked in a factory all of his life.
No.
My mum was a nurse.
Hey!
There we go. Fuck me, he's rattling him off. Mum was a nurse. I think I had that one, didn't I? Yeah, nurse mum. There you go. Look at that.
But for most of her life, she had a debilitating illness called Still's disease. To be honest, she would have hated it.
Okay, Still's disease is not on there.
Debilitating. Because she never gave up and she never complained. But her illness did shape our lives. Whether that was many, many hours spent with her in high dependency units when I was a teenager, not quite knowing whether she'd pull through, or whether it was just her incredible resilience. Every time she was told she'd never be able to get up and walk again, she was single-minded in her determination. I've never seen sheer willpower like that. For my mum to be told she wasn't going to walk was a challenge she was going to rise to over and over and over again. And that shaped me. And then there was the economy, because, of course, when I was growing up, this was the 1970s. And there were hard times. And I know what out-of-control inflation feels like. How the rising cost of living can make you scared of the postman coming down the path. Will he bring another bill we can't afford? And I'll tell you this. If you're working class, you're scared of debt. You're scared. My mum and dad were scared of debt. So they would choose the bill.
Oh, talking working class, that's a phrase he doesn't use that often. Do you see he described himself as a socialist today?
He did indeed, yeah, absolutely. He's making the moral case for socialism by keeping 500,000 children in poverty.
Yeah.
This is where, in the YouTube comments later, someone's going to go, well, the Soviet Union had 10 million children in poverty. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
Is that the level? Is that where we're at? Yeah, I don't know.
What's that?
That they wouldn't pay rather than going to bed. And they chose the phone bill. They would have the phone cut off rather than pay the bill because it was the easiest one to do without. Obviously no mobiles back then, but you could just about get by. Now all of that, my background, has stayed with me. It shaped the plan that I've drawn up for Britain.
Also, like, let's just put a pin in this. This was a working class background thing. His dad was a business owner. Now, anyone with a basic understanding will know that that is the opposite of working class. Because class is about your relationship to the means of production. It is not indeed about whether or not you did a hard day's work, grafty, working with tools thing.
Yeah, he was petty bouge. Yeah, which, like, he'll be one of the last ones to go to the scaffold, but you know.
Oh, his dad was a skilled man. It is true. He was a toolmaker. We are now well aware of this. I'm not taking that away from him, but to talk about his life in.
Keith would have mentioned this if that were true. I don't think he was a toolmaker. No.
Of economic stability. The need never to put working people through the whirlwind of
working people.
There you go.
Rising mortgage costs. £5,000 for every working family. That is what the Tories have inflicted on Britain. The price working people have paid for their chaos, and it's unforgivable. But as I reflect and look forward to this election, I believe my background has also shaped my politics in a deeper way. Look, this England has always been fairly far removed from Westminster. Politics has always been something that happens far away. And yet something more profound has changed during the last 14 years of...
Hang on. What, isn't he 14 years? Isn't he in Sussex? It's not that far. I mean, I know he means it's like an not existential, what's it called? Epistemic distance, like a theoretical distance, but...
Oh, what's really important to understand as well is that a lot of the rhetoric around what Labour are trying to go for in this election camp, because they want to go for swing voters and essentially leave their base behind, is they've tried to very kind of cynically phrase their rhetoric to make middle-class people from the home counties think that they're more in touch with working people than they are. It's why they say working people, not working class people, because working people includes like, you know, professionals on £70,000 a year or whatever, but who feel bad because the Tories are taxing them so much. Well, exactly. That's why they say working people all the time. It's indeed why they're doing this campaign launch, the first major speech of their campaign in the home county specifically. They're deliberately doing it because they want to be able to market themselves, or even the home counties can vote for us. Whereas previously, you probably would have seen an election launch campaign happening in, you know, in Birmingham or in Liverpool, for example, where they should have like a conference, because they want to. Whereas, you know, this is when people keep saying, "Oh, well, we're back in service of working people." No, what you want to do is make people who, like the 80k guy from Question Time, who got mad at the idea that he wasn't in the top 5% of earners or whatever. Trying to make these people feel better about the fact that they're being campaigned to with every single election cycle now by both the red team and the blue team.
Well, the reason he can afford to do a home counties launch is because, and it's very indicative, like you said, that he is doing that. It shows you exactly the territory they're on and why the Tories don't have any safe seats, because that should be the blue wall, effectively. But the reason is because the red wall has been so thoroughly not just rebuilt but reinforced. Rishi Sunak has not built any council houses, but he has rebuilt that red wall like the fucking Great Wall of China. It'll stand there for 1,000 years. It's been built that well again.
That's the funny thing is that Starmer's done actually nothing to win these people in the red wall back
Absolutely nothing. No,
in fact he's done the opposite. He's taken the party away from its roots, which is in these constituencies, these ex-mining, ex-manufacturing constituencies that should be kind of the hub of kind of Labour Party support, because obviously they've declined throughout the Blair years when they abandoned them. And now they're saying, we're back in service of working people. Well, you're not. It's just that these people made a deal with Johnson that they would get a levelled up communities and the benefits of Brexit, and, you know, this vote that they'd lent to get through the Brexit impasse and to have their communities reinvigorated after what happened to them during Thatcher and Blair. And Johnson, to some extent, and to even greater extent, Truss and Sunak have pissed all over that shit, chasing the vote of people in Clacton or whatever. And so they've gone like, no, we'll never ever. We vote Labour all our life. We voted Tory one time, and now we have been burnt so hard we'll never do it again.
Well, exactly. Johnson did say a very true thing, which I don't think he ever had any intention of following through on. But he said, "You've given us one opportunity in the red wall. You may never have voted Tory before, and we need to we need to have to repay that chance you've given us." Yeah. That trust you've placed in us, and he said that on election night. And if he'd stuck to that for a second, and especially if Truss and Sunak had stuck to that for a second, they might have been able to really genuinely tear down the red wall rather than just sort of, you know, damaging or punching holes through it. But like I say, it's now reinforced. It's now the strongest wall that's ever been existed. It's Hadrian's Wall looks, you know, will last less time than this fucking thing will. By the way,
it's literally the Iron Curtain it'll be now.
Literally. He said 14 years of Tories. I presume it's 13 on the card because it hasn't been like updated. But that counts. We're having 13 years of Tories there. There we go.
Yeah.
Look at that, 5 already. I'm only 2 away from a line. Good Lord.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The Tory government. People now feel more and more of the decisions that affect their community.
He's on mid-season form already.
Not only live miles away, but have little empathy for their challenges. A politics that is, at best, doing something to people, not with them. And at its worst, as we saw in horrifying detail in Westminster last week,
those
twin injustices, Horizon and
we'll build the red wall and the Tories will pay for it.
Yes. Fuck yes. Built wall. Because it's northern, you see. See?
Blood scandals is something much, much darker even than that. It's about respect, or to be precise, the lack of it. That is the canary in the mine of injustice.
You're so right, Bill. If Johnson hadn't been such a fucking prick, or if at least he'd been able to keep his prick to himself in many respects, he could have had 3 terms. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
He had a 90 majority in normal times. You don't overturn that in one electoral cycle.
You would also, you would have needed to, he would have needed to make good on the economic plan that he had set out, or I guess the people who'd written his manifesto had set out at the election period, and the kind of promises he made, except that was never going to happen because Tory backbenchers would never have supported it.
Yeah.
For a long time now, working people have believed opportunity in Britain is stacked against them. But now we're at a
just because it is
close to crossing a Rubicon of trust, not just in politics, but in many of the institutions that are meant to serve and protect the British people. A moment where people no longer believe their values or interests carry the respect of those in power. And when you put that alongside a government that over 14 years has left living standards in this country worse than when they found them, that has torched any semblance of standards in public life, Westminster parties that broke the rules they put in place to save lives, and rules they expected you to follow, but ignored themselves, then you get a crisis in nothing less than who we are as a nation. The values that have held us together, that have driven us on through hard times towards our greatest achievements, taken to the edge by the...
Nothing shows the hollowness of this man. And again, he's a terrible politician in a number of ways, but nothing shows how hollow he is when he's trying to be Churchillian. This is him. This is his best try at trying to sound profound and moving and deep and spiritual. He wants to connect with you. This is his "we'll fight them on the beaches" shit. And it's just honestly, I couldn't be more limp, mate.
It's honestly the fact that rhetoric and persuasion was literally this man's entire career. It's baffling to me.
Yeah, exactly. How did he ever win a case? Mate, you'd have put all fucking 12 of them to sleep. They wouldn't have heard what you had to fucking say.
These Tories. And healing these wounds is what national renewal means. Politics has to be about service. Britain must be a country that respects your contribution. Everyone, not just those at the top, deserve the chance to get on. Now, these are the ideas that I'm fighting for. This is my project. A Britain once more in the service of working people, country first, party second.
Andrew WK hated that.
What?
Said Andrew WK hated that.
Hated what?
Country first, party second.
Oh, wasn't it because you partied hard?
Welcome back from Italy to the true right-wing paradise.
Now, I don't know if this is a new politics or whether it's simply a return to something older that used to be taken for granted. But public service is the bare minimum you should expect. And you also deserve the security, the certainty.
Stability / security. Come on.
Yeah, gotcha. Absolutely.
Boom,
yeah.
Let's go.
It's not on mine, but it might be on yours, chat.
But Britain will be better for your children. And I think that no matter what our struggles, we always had that back in the 1970s. My parents always believed...
What the fuck is this speech? We always had that back in the 1970s. All right, mate, but it's 50 fucking years ago, chap. Like, I'm not even arguing that we shouldn't try and get back to that, but just on the basis that we had it in the 70s, okay, we also had like...
It's because, these are the people who wants to vote for him. People who were 25 in 1970. The only electoral demographic who matter in this country.
True. Although I've got to say, it is good that he's planning, although I expect him to go back on it, I'm sure, votes for 16 and 17-year-olds, which is good. Because
I agree. I think it's good. It absolutely is good. And it's been Labour Party plans for a very, very long time, actually. Yeah. But it's become more at the fore because it has a bigger chance of actually being implemented as policy. But what I have seen is I've seen a lot of right-wingers like pissing themselves, getting absolutely mad about this idea. Oh, Keir Starmer's trying to manipulate the electorate by giving votes to 16-year-olds. They don't know what they're talking about. They can't be trusted with the vote. As if, first of all, yes, they can be trusted with the vote. Our 16-year-olds nowadays are actually more switched on than people give them credit for. Second of all, are they really kind of less viable as as part of the electorate than people who are like 95 and have brains that don't function properly anymore? And last of all, having the temerity to accuse the Labour Party of electorate manipulation when this is the same Conservative Party that deliberately tried to shut out huge swathes of the electorate by implementing voter ID and deliberately rigging the IDs that were allowed so that young people were far, far, far less likely to, circumstantially have something that could be used as ID, to the point at which the same kind of ID, but for different age ranges, was okay for old people but not for young people, including the fact that you couldn't use armed forces warrant cards because young people are more likely to have them than old people, which stopped Johnny Merson from voting at the last set of local elections.
Which is very fun, yeah.
So they have zero, they have less than no leg to stand on about electorate manipulation through changing electoral rules, but they opened the floodgates, they opened Pandora's box of this kind of, electorate manipulation. I'm like, yeah, tough mate, tough shit. Yeah, 16-year-olds are going to get the vote. None of them are going to fucking vote for you. You've made your own bed, now lie in it.
Did you see the polling done by age this week? Between 18 to 25 age range, 6% will said they're going to vote Tory. 6%.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, exactly. With good reason.
Ooh.
It's worth.
And because they've broken the social contract, those people are not going to become more wealthy as time goes on. So basically, you've shut off a conveyor belt of turning younger people into right-wing older people. So the Tory party have, through their own greed, frankly, have destroyed their own electoral future.
Oh, exactly, 100%. It's well worth doing so. Worth pointing out as well, Logue, that about whether they would get a 16-year-old vote bill through the Tory majority lords. First of all, it's a Tory plurality, not a Tory majority. There is a crossbench, and there are independents, and there's the clergy in there as well. So the Tories only have a plurality in there. And second of all, if it's a manifesto pledge, the Lords have to honour it unless it's like massively against the law or anything like that. And it almost certainly will be an explicit manifesto pledge. So the idea of the Lords blocking it would be so massively far removed from parliamentary protocol that there's no chance of it getting blocked.
Yeah. It's not as nakedly partisan as in the Commons because they don't have to get seek re-election, so they can afford to be a bit more principled about it. And you will often hear even Tory lords saying, we might not like this piece of legislation, but the other place, which is how they refer to the Commons, and vice versa, it's fucking silly and archaic rubbish. Anyway, they'll say the elected chamber has to have primacy. And so they'll just sort of stand by and allow a bill to get through that they don't like, on the basis that they're supposed to be knock the rough edges off legislation and make it more complete and close loopholes that the Commons may have missed. They're not supposed to block the will of the Commons, and they do understand that,
Exactly.
Well, most of them do. There are hacks in there, but I think the vast majority of Lords don't care or don't turn up. But of those even that do, I think the majority of them really understand that something like that they couldn't realistically oppose, or they couldn't stop. They could speak out against it, of course, but they can't stop it.
I think we are more we've had a period in which the Lords have been interfering more than usual. But that's not a case of the Lords doing anything different. It's the case of the fact that our current absolute fucking stain of a government have been trying to push through things that are in breach of multiple different international treaties and our own domestic kind of constitutional laws as well.
Yeah. Well, this started with Brexit and riding completely roughshod over the will of the Commons and the Lords and the people more broadly. In order to try and force all of that shit through and force a very, very hard Brexit through. And they've just decided to sort of go to war with the concept of parliamentary democracy, really. And so they've, like you say, they've just thought, fuck it, we don't have to apply by any laws. We don't have to cost anything. They've been awful, really. And that's when the Lords really do react badly to it, is if you don't apply by protocol. They're less bothered by the kind of the principle of it all. It's you have to go through the process properly, and the Tories just haven't at any point. They've given up on existence, apparently, which I've got no problem with, but they're just going to be replaced by this cunt who's also a Tory, so
that in the end hard work would be rewarded and Britain would be better for their children. for me. Now, that may not sound like much to some people, but you can't underestimate how important it is for working class families like mine. How much it comforted my parents, particularly towards the end of their lives. It gave us a hope and a stability that we could build our lives around. And I believe it's what working people want now more than anything. They want to believe in the future. They want, when they say to their children, work hard and you can achieve anything, for that to feel true. But after 14 years of Tory damage to our values, the service and security they should expect as a given, they just don't believe it anymore. And that has consequence for all parties.
Right. I'm not going to argue for a second that the person I'm about to name drop is a good guy or anything. I'm not praying in aid him as a politician or as a you know, a governor, but as an orator. The Americans got Obama, a genuinely quite inspiring speaker, a guy who had some youth and vigor about him. He was a genuinely interesting historical figure. Our version is this fucking spitting image doll.
The thing as well as that, Americans, you didn't even have to look as far as the Liberal. Like Bernie Sanders was somebody who commanded an audience.
Yeah. I'd take a Bernie orator over this guy. I'd definitely take Bernie politics over him as well, obviously. But yeah, this is fucking wank. This is him trying to inspire me. Oh, God almighty.
I mean, things he's touching on a lot of things I think are really reasonable points to make. People do feel hopeless. They do feel like the deck is stacked against them, because it's true. The deck is stacked against them. Like, the problem, of course, is that they're doing nothing to change that.
Yeah, but this motherfucker is like minus Riz. It's just there's nothing to him. It's
Like,
not even mid.
Yeah. Like, even if they had the policies that would theoretically make some kind of material change to the things he's saying are wrong, would you really believe him if he told you? A, because he's not believable because he's not an orator, as you say. And B, because whatever he says the next day, it's subject to change.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's the thing. I don't care what either of the two main parties promise in this election. I don't trust them to deliver it at all.
No.
I don't believe either of them.
Look, whatever the polls say, I know there are countless people who haven't decided how they'll vote in this election. They're fed up with the failure, the chaos, and the division of the Tories, but they still have questions about us. Has Labour changed enough? Do I trust them with my money, our borders, our security?
Our borders literally get fucked, mate. That's his. Do you trust us with our borders? Was the number one thing he mentioned there. Not hospitals, not schools. Borders.
My answer is yes, you can, because I've changed this party permanently.
There you go. We've changed Labour.
We've changed Labour. Not just that, but permanently. Is that how democracy works? Does the Labour Party never get to be anything other than just what you want now?
Well, that's the thing, is that if he'd have had the electoral mandate internally from the Labour Party to change the party specifically, go ahead, mate. Feel free. Make it into a party of Gary Lubner. Make it into a party of Trevor Chin. Make it into a party of Lord Sainsbury and Peter Hearn or whatever. All of these multi-millionaire capital investors that you can throw huge amounts of donations at you so you never inconvenience them economically again. Feel free. If you can win an internal Labour Party election on that platform, go ahead. I'm all for it. I would leave the party, but at least it would be democratic. But he has no fucking mandate to change the Labour Party into this fucking husk. It's not even a husk. There's nothing left. There's nothing left that's like Labour about this party.
Well,
anymore.
I suppose we should mention, as the Magic Grandpa, the Jam Man himself, literally Hitler, is standing as an independent, isn't he, in his seat, and has now been formally ejected from the Labour Party. He was previously suspended, of course, and now has been formally. So basically, they were keeping him suspended until the election. They were hoping he'd just stand aside or whatever. But no, he's actually going to run. And you know what? I genuinely, this is going to sound mental, but I hope a Tory gets elected there. Because the Labour Party need to learn a fucking lesson. I don't think, on I don't think he's enough to win on his own necessarily.
I think
But-
he is. I think he is.
Well, I hope so. I would love to see it, but I don't.
The polls show like that it looks like he's projected to win that seat. And if there was like a big split in the Corbyn Labour vote, the third place party is the Greens in that seat anyway. But I don't think Corbyn has the.
Oh, is it? Oh, that'd be even better then. Oh,
West
fuck it.
Islington North, isn't it? Like
Let's
the Tories come like fifth in those seats. Like literally, they come behind, they come behind like multiple different. I might be fourth. I might be behind Labour, Greens, and Lib Dems in that seat.
Well, okay, well, I hope either Corbyn wins or the Green wins, then that'd be awesome. Fuck yeah.
Absolutely. I think, as Solly points out in chat, though, the funniest thing about that particular election in Islington North is that the Labour candidate is genuinely awful. The man is a private healthcare CEO standing against Jeremy Corbyn.
And Mason lost to him as well. Genius. Love it. Love it.
I think it was imposed by the NEC. I don't think there was a CLP vote on it.
I wasn't. Hang on. I think Paul Mason wanted to be shortlisted for the Islington, wasn't it? And was rejected. I think so.
So he'd declared his intention to run in the CLP nomination to try and get on the shortlist for Islington North, and then the snap election was called. And when a snap election gets called, the NEC have the ability and the right to impose seats, or impose candidates on seats. Like this happened in 2017 and in 2019. They were both snap elections, and so the Corbyn-controlled NEC, or the left-wing controlled NEC, imposed candidates on seats. Like
I think you mean the Trotskyite Centre.
True, the Trotskyite Centre, they imposed candidates. That's why people keep saying, oh, well, Corbyn was Stalinist, he imposed candidates. I'm like, it was a snap election. When was the CLP process supposed to happen? And like in a case of snap election, that's fine. It'll be fine whether the left did it or whether the right did it. So the issue I have is that these people have had like 4 years to choose candidates. And I have a distinct feeling that the Labour right, who have now got control of the NEC, and were deliberately running down the clock in getting shortlists together for CLPs, so that they go, oh no, we're out of time. I guess we're going to have to nominate all of the Labour to win slates to all of these safe seats that haven't been selected for yet. And that's literally happened today.
Yep.
Today, Michael Crick was tweeting out about it, about how it's almost guaranteed now that a bunch of like the Labour right, essentially just hired hands from the kind of the think tank industrial complex, are just going to get thrown into safe seats now. So Gurinder Singh Jozan, Josh Simons, apparently Nuke Akehurst might be getting a safe seat as well.
Oh no! Oh God! Imagine having to vote for someone like that.
Paul War's getting put straight in Rochdale, I believe. So it will be funny watching him lose to George Galloway again.
That would be funny. Yeah. That would be good. Thank you to Cupcake Chaos for resubscribing, and thank you to James Holmes for gifting a sub on YouTube. Don't forget you can give money to both myself and No Justice in the form of bits and subs on Twitch, and super chats / memberships on YouTube.
Yeah, I've been away for 5 days, so I have missed out on 5 days of revenue. So anything that you can spare would be very much appreciated. Of course, I did just start off the stream by saying I've won $1,200, but that's not going to be said.
No, I was going to be rude and mention it, but I thought no, just leave it. But then you went and did it anyway.
Well, I want to make it clear, but the reason why is that I don't know when I'm going to receive that, whereas I do have bills to pay next month, whether I have the £1,200 or not. So,
yeah.
And this has been my driving mission since day one. I was determined to change Labour so it could serve the British people. Give them a government that matches the ambition that they have for their families and their communities. And the very foundation of any good government is economic security, border security, national security.
You
And if I'm going
absolute
to live
twat.
rent-free in his head-
It's not necessarily even wrong. It's just like it's so obvious what that messaging is and who that's aimed at.
well, it's another reason why it's another artifact of how the Conservatives have been
Fucking
allowed
neoliberalism.
to set the discourse during this election. It's very clear that the line that the Tories are taking, from their election campaign adverts to the speech that Sunak gave on the steps of Number 10, that their line of attack on Labour is making them seem to be weak on immigration and weak on national security. They're going to be a threat to national security. They tried to get the German elected. You can't trust them with having access to the nuclear deterrent, or whether or not you're going to repel the evils of this world. They're in league with the Islamists coming from Hamas. They don't do they condemn Hamas and Hezbollah. Like, these are all the kind of things that they're going to be doing. And rather than Keir Starmer ignoring it and saying, well, actually, let's talk about our potential positive economic plan for the future, they can't do that because they don't have one. So they're literally going to be going, oh, the Tories are attacking us national security. Well, we'll just spend the entire election talking about how we're good at national security, rather than allowing themselves to set the discourse. They're 20 points ahead in the polls. They have a license to set the discourse, and they just won't do it. It's pathetic.
Did you see that they're not just going to say that he's dangerous and bad, but in the very Umberto Eco, he's also they're going with the he's really not a threat at all by calling him Sir Sleepy. He's literally Sir. Like, I mean, that's like a worse version of Trump. What are you doing? Fucking tragic. Anyway.
At least they're not calling him pudding fingers.
That would be fun. I wonder if they're going to say, your dad wasn't just a tool maker, he also was involved in the assassination of JFK. I think he actually accused Ted Cruz of.
Thank you for the 10 gifted, Vicky. I appreciate you.
Make no mistake, if the British people give us the opportunity to serve, then this is their core test. It's always their core test. The definition of service. Can you protect this country? And I haven't worked for 4 years on this just to stop now. This is the foundation, the bedrock that our manifesto, our first steps, will be built on. And then on that foundation, with an end to the Tory chaos, we can start to rebuild our country. Step 1, economic stability. The very foundation of growth, with tough spending rules that mean we can keep inflation, taxes, and mortgages low. I don't.
Okay, pause.
I
think he'll give you grow the economy for that one.
I'm thinking no uncosted commitments. Or is that a bit too tenuous?
I missed the last part of what he said. What did he say specifically?
Oh God Almighty! I'll go back 5 seconds.
Inflation, taxes, and mortgages low.
Hang on.
I don't know about you.
He said something about maybe not. You know what? I'll drop the play. He
definitely said economic growth, and I think the grow the economy is definitely exactly what he's saying then.
Okay.
I am fed up of listening to the Prime Minister tell you that we've turned the corner. Turn the corner. This is a form of disrespect in itself.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, he's right. Yeah.
Since the war.
Yeah, like it really is. It is a slap in the face. But the thing is, for every claim you can make of Rishi Sunak doing that, he's doing it as well. He's also disrespecting and like insulting the intelligence of every person in the country.
I think it's important. I think it feels disrespectful. I don't necessarily think that it's specifically Rishi Sunak being disrespectful, because when you're being disrespectful, you kind of know what you're doing. It. Sunak is just clueless. Like loads of people in the Tory party, they look at the numbers, like the headline numbers they've got going on, right? They look at, oh, inflation is down. Oh, look at that, bond yields are coming down. We might get interest rate cuts. The economy has turned the corner. Things are good because the economic figures have told us now. Fancy economist people have reassured us that yes, absolutely things are fine, and we have higher projected growth than we thought they would do. Everything be fine. Yet what they haven't asked is how much is a tin of beans, right? How much was a tin of beans as a proportion of your income now than what it used to be before the pandemic? And for everybody who's on like sub 35k or whatever, like the median wage in this country, it's still tough. Wages are still behind in real terms where they were in 2020, which is when the start of this last parliamentary term was. So it doesn't matter how many numbers that you throw at people, apart from the real key number is life more affordable than it used to be? And the answer to that question is no. And it is disrespectful for them to not bother actually thinking of the position of the electorate. That is disrespectful, of course, but it comes from a place of almost kind of deliberate, like kind of childish ignorance of what it's like to live in the real world.
Yeah, because they don't.
Of course, yeah, exactly.
Especially Rishi Sunak, but like, because he never ever has. He's never lived a normal life ever.
No.
And literally, he's like mentally, he's already in California as well. He's already in Beverly Hills. Literally, in his mind, he's just thinking, "Get through 6 weeks."
Well, it's why I called the election early. I mean,
I can put my trotters up.
Absolutely, it was a win-win for him to call the election early because, first of all, actually, despite what all of the Tories say, what all of the Tory journalists in the media are saying, or what the MPs are saying, they should have waited until January because the economy would have changed. Like, the longer they wait, the worse it gets, and the longer that they wait, the more people are going to get miserable they've not been given the election they clearly, very obviously want to see. And on top of that, if it saves them a couple of seats by not pissing people off far more than they expect to, then good. And on top of that, if he's out of the Commons by this time in 6 weeks, he can fuck off to California and leave this shithole behind after destroying it.
And to be honest, he might not even need to resign his seat because he might not fucking win. That would be so good.
It would be very funny.
So good.
First sitting prime minister ever to lose their seat in an election.
Yep. Absolutely genius manoeuvres. Well done.
Chaos hitting every working family to the tune of £5,000. And the Prime Minister prepared to do it all over again. Now, he says he wants to get rid of national insurance. That's £46 billion that is currently used on your pension and the NHS. And he's not prepared to say how he'll fund it. That means that this election...
Oh, well, did you see how they were going to fund the National Service Pledge thing? By taking it out of the already particularly small part of levelling up funds.
Incredible.
Fucking neoliberalism.
So even the
18
we might
months,
build you a
welcome back
car
from your
park in
holiday.
Stoke
Oh my
money.
God.
Even that's no, we're going to spend
It's
that
incredible.
on having some essentially babysitters for 18-year-olds on a fucking army camp.
Imagine being like a 35-year-old living in like, Blackburn or something, thinking, oh, well, at least we'll have some kind of renovation to our town centre going on after all of this shit that's been lumped on us, our post-deindustrialisation. No, that's not happening. And also, my potential future children might get sent off to do compulsory volunteering, which is a contradiction in terms. Thanks, Rishi. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely nailing it, bruv.
Absolutely. I just want to point out, Surly Dev, you're absolutely right. National insurance does pay for current pensioners, not future pensioners. You don't pay into a pot. And Keir Starmer is it's sleight of hand here. So it's true that national insurance does pay for some pensions and some of the NHS because it's general taxation. And the general taxation as a percentage does pay for those things. But what he's doing is he's deliberately trying to work on the implication of people's inherent faulty assumption that they make that national insurance is a thing that we pay that gives us the fact that we have an NHS and pensions. That's the dividend we get out for paying national insurance, and that's not true. It's just a payroll tax. That's all it is. Just a payroll tax.
To Miss High, we know that Rishi Sunak has got a majority of 27,000. That's a huge number. But we've already seen 25,000 overturned midterm at by-election, and B, that was overturned when the Tories were doing better in the polls and reform weren't a threat.
And also,
just bear that in mind. Look, I'm not saying it's easy to do that, and I'm not guaranteeing that he will lose. But like, if you ask me to put money on it right now, I don't know which way I'd go.
I think I probably would put on one to lose. I think that usually the kind of the prestige of being the Prime Minister usually protects you in these kind of situations where it looks like they're going to lose, but people will vote for you because you're recognisable. But Rishi Sunak might be like the first Prime Minister in quite a long time where the fact that he is more prominent because he's the Prime Minister is why he's going to lose. People have spent more than no time. They've had a non-zero amount of time interacting with Rishi Sunak, the person, and realising that he's a cunt.
It's difficult to recognise him unless you're looking at the floor. Do you know what I mean? It's like only those people who regularly, find coins on the floor because they're always looking down. They're the only ones that see him. God bless him.
I do
Because
think
he's very short. He's a very short man.
man. I do think he will end up losing. That's my prediction. I think he'll lose his seat.
Well, like I say, I think it basically even safe like seats that shouldn't be in question. 27,000. That's massive. That toss of a coin could go anyway. They genuinely might not be the opposition, which would be fucking sexy. Oh my god, would that be good?
Oh, it is going to be funny watching Ed Davey pivot from this like anti-Tory, we need to be, you know, slightly less miserable version of the free market, you know, social responsibility party, whatever it is. Pivot from that specifically to being Labour can't be trusted with the nation's finances because look at the debt to GDP ratio and people's and the state of the macroeconomy where these people are profligate spenders. It's funny watching him immediately pivot to trying to win over the Labour skeptics on being trusted with the nation's finance or whatever by immediately pivoting to incredibly right-wing rhetoric. It's going to be really funny watching that kind of almost like a cloaking device has been removed from Ed Davey, the Liberal Democrat.
Yeah. But also just to see the fucked up nature of the fact that a party that might only get 10% of the vote might become the about 14% of the vote, might become the official opposition. And yet Reform and the Greens between them might end up with a quarter of the total raw vote and end up with 2 seats.
Yep, it's true.
First past the post is a very fair and awesome democratic system, everybody.
I mean, literally, there are some polls that have the Lib Dems and the Greens level pegging in joint 4th place. And the Lib Dems
love being pegged, so... You know.
Yeah, and the Lib Dems might have more seats than the Tories, Reform and the Greens.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Together.
Because they focus entirely on like 50 seats across the country, basically. There's like 1 seat in Birmingham they always try and get. Just 1. It's usually the Edgbaston one, the one that...
Yeah. There's always there's like a Manchester, like West Manchester satellite seat that usually win Lib Dem.
Yeah, the one that actually was Jess Phillips's seat was won by a Lib Dem before.
She might lose to an independent, or indeed the Greens next time round.
Well, you'll notice she's come out strongly about Israel Palestine because she realizes, oh shit. She looked at that West Midlands mayoral election and went, fuck. I need to get out ahead of this right now. She was hoping there would be another 2 or 3 months where she could pretend to actually give a fuck about Palestinians, you know? Anyway. Hello, Real Radham. Everyone go and follow Real Radham.
Do that. Based Aussie political streamer.
Also, best facial hair this side of the world.
Absolutely. Salvador Dali would be proud.
And that prick's dead.
Yeah.
Loser.
Threat? Or he's prepared to blow the economy up all over again.
Tories crash the economy. Got a vote.
Yep. There you go. Also worth pointing out as well, as Sharman points out in chat, Richmond, Sunak seat is in North Yorkshire, and these are the kind of seats that can switch in these big swings. Like, it's interesting you look at, for example, you'd think of safe Tory seats because of kind of naturally Toryist, but actually no, not really. Like the Yorkshire seats are mostly just like they're mostly just kind of reactionary seats. They vote for reactionaries too, and obviously Labour kind of pandering to that narrative, but they're not like fiscal conservative necessarily. It's not like, for example, Uxbridge, which was the by-election that Labour didn't win, when actually these kind of, you know, pretty kind of affluent, like, sort of on the outskirts of London type seats are far harder for Labour to swing in these wild swingy elections than you would get in a kind of more like semi-rural constituency.
Right. Oh, Phantom of Black is only 1 away from a line. Love it. We can't let a Bulgarian win. It just wouldn't be right. I don't know what that means. I hope it was sufficiently racist. Let's go.
Hasn't learned a thing. And working people need stability. They want things to improve. They want things to move on. They want change. But they expect you to take care of the public finances as well. Because if you lose control of the economy, it's working people who pay the price. Liz Truss lost control of the economy, and working people paid the price. A week after that mini-budget, I went to Wolverhampton, and I saw...
Well, that's your first mistake, mate.
They had 1 child, a 3-year-old. They've made the decision they wanted a second child.
See, that's 3-year-olds in Wolverhampton. That's the best time for an abortion, really. You gotta cut them off early. We can't allow these people to breed. Fucking evil.
They'd found a new house that they could move into for their expanded family. They got a mortgage offer that they could afford. They were looking forward, the next step forward in their lives. Liz Truss crashed the economy. Their mortgage offer went through the roof. They had to pull out of the sale, stay where they were, cancel that house. But they also took a more profound decision. They decided that they could no longer afford to have a second child. Now, they will live with the consequences of that for the rest of their lives. That is the price that they paid. And I'm not prepared to let a Labour government ever inflict that pain on working people. Ever.
Okay, but dickhead, are you going to get rid of the 2-child cap then? Or you just say...
Because again, the only thing that matters in terms of macroeconomic policy when it comes to election is what happens to people who want to buy houses or have their house price increase in value. That's it. People in rented accommodation, not doesn't matter. People who are on some kind of welfare system from the government's completely irrelevant. They're not swing voters in suburban or sub-rural constituencies. Not relevant to this discussion, unfortunately. Where what's that? Young professionals who want to buy their first house but are stopped from doing so because of Liz Truss, which isn't necessarily even true because interest rates are going up elsewhere anyway. And those people, now we must pander to you forever. You are the endless swing voter and you will get anything and everything that you want.
Yes. They're the only voter that matters.
I must say as well, whilst we're here, on the last day of when I was in Italy, I walked down the Riviera. From where
she knows all the lingo. She knows all the lingo.
From where I was staying down to where some of my mates were staying, because the person I was with was a little bit ill, so couldn't spend much of the Sunday doing things, which was a bit of a shame. They seemed in a pretty bad way. But I walked down the Riviera to this lovely pasta restaurant. But I must say, I have been bitten to fuck by mosquitoes, and it is driving me crazy.
That's
I must have
go abroad.
I must have 7 or 8 of these fuckers. Ah.
See, what's the worst that happens in Britain? A pigeon might shit on you. Do you know what I mean?
That has happened to me before in the Lake District.
Well, exactly. But that's fine. Just wipe it off. It's fine. Not a problem. But in foreign countries, stuff bites you. There are spiders that kill horses. There are Australians. I mean, it's just all sorts.
And that's why stability is our first step. A non-negotiable pact with working people. A symbol of a changed Labour Party ready to serve our country. Step 2, we will cut NHS waiting times. 4,000 extra appointments every week, paid for by cracking down on tax avoidance and non-doms.
There you go, non-dom tax status.
We'll launch a new border security command with new specialist investigators, new resources, and new powers, including...
Didn't the Tories already steal that one? Didn't that already happen?
Apparently, according to Labour's calculations, the Tories' version of the non-dom tax status thing doesn't go far enough. They're going to do it
that's probably
more.
true, yes.
I mean, yes, almost certainly is true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I think that, they changed their tactic because they kind of hammered it into voters. They just talk about it like it's not already been done. They actually did, for their kind of official, electoral documents, say that a bunch of these kind of NHS investments are going to get paid for by closing the tax gap, i.e. cracking down on tax avoidance and closing other tax loopholes, for example, which, you know what? That's fair enough. This does need to happen. There is plenty of tax that should be paid and is not being paid because the rules are set up specifically so that rich people who can hire very, very skillful accountants can get round these things and pay less tax because these are the people who donate to the party who made the rules on how they can get around these things. And to close those would be a good thing, and I'm glad that Labour are doing it.
Well, they've said they're going to do it.
Oh yeah, at time of recording, they have said that we're going to do it.
Counter-terrorism powers. These vile criminals are making a fortune putting vulnerable people in boats made to order and sending them across the busiest shipping lane in the world. Nobody should be making that journey. And when I was Director of Public Prosecution, I worked on
DPP. There we go.
terrorist gangs across Europe.
Oh, that's too far. Hang on.
Smashing the gang.
DPP, Smash criminal gangs. Oh, let's go. Oh,
I will never accept that we can't do the same for these vile gangs. Britain will secure our borders. Step 4, we will set up Great British Energy, paid for by a windfall tax on the energy giants who made record profits while your bills went through the roof. A new company owned by the taxpayer, making money for the taxpayer.
oh, we got bingo in YouTube chat.
Oh, really?
Which ones do you get, Brett? Let's have a look.
I think they can post the link to their card specifically.
Well, hopefully they can do that. Yes.
The opportunity.
I mean, there's no prize to be won, so we'll just carry on anyway. But
yeah, if you click on the pizza menu and then click on share, it should copy a link that you can then post in chat.
Let's go.
Of clean British power, making us energy independent, so Putin can't put his boot on our throats, and cutting bills in your home for good. Step 5, we'll crack down on antisocial behaviour. And I don't want to hear another person tell me that this is low-level crime and it doesn't matter. I've been hearing that all of my life. It blights communities, big and small. It always has. And I know Worthing very well. My uncle lived here for a very, very long time.
I feel like it's 2011 again.
Police here.
Yeah.
And talked to some of
Like
the people
Hugger
on the high
hoodie
street.
shit all
And
over
they told
again.
me in no uncertain terms the impact of antisocial behaviour and how it was affecting them.
Well, he really is. He's David Cameron. He's just David
Yeah.
Cameron.
Build the big
So we'll get more
society.
Yeah.
On the streets in your town.
I mean, look at the fact that they're putting the Union Jack on everything. They've even stole the Tories' branding.
I mean, literally, I mean, the fact that... So remember the Tory election poster in 2010, I think it was, whereas David Cameron's, like,
And his
massive...
big, shiny face.
His airbrushed photo that they used, and it said, "Year for change" in the bottom right, and the official line was, "We can't go on like this. I'll cut the deficit, not the NHS." And that feels literally... It just feels like exactly what I'm being marketed at here. They feel identical.
The same thing.
Because they airbrushed the Keir Starmer photo that they used for their pictures as well.
Yeah. And didn't they make it so his wife was shorter as well?
Yes, they did. They did shorten his wife.
Yeah. Was it on the Christmas card or something?
Yeah, it was on the Christmas card.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, that is a next level piece of petty bullshit. The fuck?
It is. Reminds me of that picture of the baseball player standing on the box getting interviewed.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
13,000 new officers and community support officers paid for by cutting down on wasteful contracts. And step 6, we'll also get 6,500 new teachers in the classroom, paid for by removing tax breaks on private schools.
Hey, tax on private schools. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, I'm just a let me be clear away. Oh, don't tease me, Keir.
I need sticking plaster politics.
Oof.
An education system that we will reform with more creativity,
Reform.
more confidence,
Reform.
more resilience
Reform.
for all children. I was the first in my family to go to university. I know the power of education. And every child should grow up believing that success belongs to them, that they don't have to change who they are just to get on. That is the Britain we will fight for. Labour will deliver opportunity for our children.
Okay. I'm glad the rhetoric has kind of changed on that one, in that they used to keep saying things like, well, everybody should have the chance to be able to excel or whatever, or to be able to have ambition and shit like that. I'm like, whilst this is all good and fine and true, the problem is it continues pushing this idea that you rise out of your class rather than that you rise with your class, which is, of course, is conservative messaging. That's conservative politics, the idea that the hierarchy must exist, the myth of meritocracy must continue, but we want to make sure that the access to social mobility is greater. And whilst I don't disagree with the idea that we should have more social mobility in this country, and social mobility is a good thing, that should not be at the expense of ensuring that the bottom rises all of the boats upwards as well, right? There should always be. I'm not somebody who believes that that the world should be entirely full of people paid identically or whatever, or that everybody should be, or that all hierarchy should be gotten rid of. I'm not that anarchist, for example, in terms of how we look at things like hierarchy and meritocracy.
Okay, put her on the list. Put her on the list. Cover revolution. Yeah.
But that should be the second choice behind what we do to the bottom rung of the ladder. If we have to make a choice on which two of those things is more important, the far more important thing is ensuring that the bottom rung of the working classes of this country have their material conditions increased as high as possible before we even think about any kind of sociability outside of that. Because at the end of the day, everybody plays a part, like from a kind of philosophical standpoint, everybody in society plays an important part in how a society functions, no matter whether they are a university lecturer or a plumber, or whether they're just stacking the shelves at Tesco. We now know just how important stacking the shelves at Tesco is, because these people have kept our country going during the pandemic. I thought people would be able to have learned that now. I thought that would have been a real teaching experience from the pandemic era if we'd have learned anything. And so the fact that the Labour Party's gambit here is not let's make sure that the people working at Tesco have the best life they can be. It's let's make sure that the people working at Tesco have the opportunity to become management consultants. But if they don't succeed out of becoming shelf stackers at Tesco, then whoops, we gave the opportunity, didn't take it.
This is my entire bit. I don't really give that much of a fuck what they don't need to govern on behalf of rich people. Rich people can look after themselves. Now, I also don't want them to drag people down necessarily, although redistribution is very important. But in terms of it's a matter of flattening the hierarchy, at least to some extent. That's what social democracy should be about, right?
Exactly, 100%.
He's not a socialist. He never has been. And to be fair, neither was Jeremy Corbyn in a very literal sense. But if social democracy is about anything, it's about flattening that hierarchy so that you don't feel the necessity to even rise above anything, because you don't feel that anyone's really above you. Even though in a sort of sense there's still a hierarchy. They're not it's not like now where Elon Musk is so much richer than every other motherfucker that it's just he's on a different universe of richness and power, right? That needs to be vastly decreased.
Yeah,
for me, it matters what the government does for the poorest. That's what I judge a government.
Exactly. This is why I stuff like the 2-child benefit cap is just a total fucking red line. I'm sorry, sure, some people from slightly more middle class rather than upper middle class families might be able to get on the property ladder a little bit quicker. But at the end of the day, you've made that decision at the expense of 500,000 children in poverty. I won't accept that. And at the end of the day, not only is the utility bad of having class stratification in your society because you're not maximizing happiness for everybody, but on top of that, it's also just terrible for society to have this division of people who you've had this kind of ideology that deems people being more worthy to society based upon their income, as if their income is in any way relative to their societal contribution. That's just not true. That's a fucking lie. And that's why I don't think the social mobility is the be all and end all of social democratic politics.
Bro, yeah, Phantom, there you go. Toolmaker Dad, we've changed Labour, Tories crash the economy, tax on private schools, working people, boom shakalaka. You know what you win? You win my undying love. And that's worth more than anything any amount of money could buy. So
yeah, fuck all from me.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, but then you're a celebrity on the Magic the Gathering tour now. So
true. Fingers crossed. We'll see. I'll try and badger them to get me on coverage.
We've lost her, everyone. We've lost her to the world of.
At least to be fair, at least now the MCG and No Justice MCG is actually relevant again.
Yeah, that's true. Although I will still refer to you as Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. Just
because fuck it, why not?
Now, I'm proud of these first steps. They are a new path for our country, a plan that will turn the page, deliver stability and change. And because we've been
delivering change, I'm having
these policies are deliverable, fully funded, ready to go, we will also provide the certainty that working people, businesses and communities need. A clear direction, not the endless spinning around that successive Tory governments have subjected us all to. The Prime Minister, with a new plan every week, a new strategy every month, at this rate, a new election.
You do the same
day.
thing.
Yeah.
That's you. That's you. That is, Keir. I mean, it's not necessarily an unwarranted criticism, because it's true. Rishi Sunak does have like a new relaunch every single week, as all of the shit that he flings at the wall doesn't stick. But that's literally the exact same thing as what Keir Starmer does, just spinning on a dime.
Yep. You'll say anything, absolutely anything, to give himself a little bounce in the polls or whatever. That's all. It's honestly, maybe it was always this cynical, but it just feels like this current crop of politicians is so cynical.
Yeah.
So ridiculously like they're robots. They're headline grabbing robot freaks.
It's honestly, it's so depressing. Like, 'cause obviously you really despise Boris Johnson. I think he's a terrible human being too. Although I have some opinions about his policies at the very least. You know, regardless of where they kind of came from. But at least with the kind of
is your problematic crush? Yeah,
it's my very problematic fave. Yeah, the thing is, at least with like the electoral choices we had in 2019, we had. Basically, every single party stood on platforms that they believed in. A Labour Party believed in nationalisation. It believed in social ownership. It believed in redistribution from the richest to the poorest and building a fairer society. The Conservative Party believed in, you know, the power of Britain to be able to succeed, trying to extend opportunity and have a, you know, the dynamic economy of the future in a post-Brexit world. Regardless of how deliverable that might be, they at least had this vision of something. Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP believed in the independence of Scotland, this future Scotland they were going to take outside the shackles of Westminster, try and drive forward this new independent Scotland that they were going to build together in a progressive manner outside of what you were seeing from, you know, kind of the shackles of Westminster. And Joe Swinson really believed in skills wallets, and now nobody believes anything anymore.
Well, to be fair, the Lib Dems believed in 5p bag tax, and you know what? They made that dream come true.
No, actually,
at the expense of hundreds of thousands of dead people. But you know, that's come on now.
To be fair to Joe Swinson, she did believe in one thing, which was stopping Brexit. They wanted to stop Brexit. That's what they campaigned on. Like, the electorate didn't want it, but they believed in it, so they campaigned on it. And now we just have like an entire cavalcade of cynical politicians saying whatever it thinks will get them elected, and it's so depressing. It's so depressing in comparison.
Let me just check. Did they stop Brexit?
No, they did not do that. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what? Look, you can't score every time you shoot, but she shot her shot and fucked it wide.
Okay, all this spinning round and round, it's symbolic of the chaos and the instability. You've seen that again over the past few days. The desperation of this national service policy, a sort of teenage dad's army. Pay for.
That's quite a good line, I've got to say. That's
delivered
actually
terribly, as always, but it was a good line.
Appallingly, because he's got the timing of a fucking corpse. But that is a solid burn. A teenage dad's army. Now, do I even bother explaining that to the Americans? No. Watch Dad's Army. It's a fucking amazing show. Shut up.
But I kid you not.
I got my audience to watch Brom the other day. You remember the little yellow car?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We watched an episode of that on stream the other day. Honestly, all the big political news on the Kim channel.
By cancelling levelling up funding and money from tax avoidance that we would use to invest in our NHS. Now, all elections are a choice, and this is a clear one. Levelling up on the NHS with Labour, or more desperate chaos with the Tories. That is the choice.
He's even saying levelling up now. He's just David Cameron.
I'm gonna push back here, and I think that levelling up was such a successful kind of gambit that the Conservative Party went on and tried to campaign. I think it's a good thing for them to pick up. I actually genuinely think that it's good because it is an important policy. Like, if Boris Johnson had actually levelled up, like he said that he,
But he
I mean,
doesn't- he's
not like he said
He's
to,
not
because he
going
said
to
to.
either. That's the
That's-
problem.
That's true.
I've
That's,
got,
I mean,
I've got no
I
problem
agree.
with the idea. It's the
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
that he's just saying it in the same way that Boris Johnson was just saying it and David Cameron was just saying it. They're not going to fucking do anything, and that just makes people more turned off by politics. That's ultimately the
true.
problem.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay,
it's that
fair enough.
the Tories are dog shit, and people want change, and he's not going to deliver that, and he's going to let the fuckers back in. Because people are going to go, well, fuck it. We might as well at least. I mean, the Tories will give me the racism I like instead, you know, or whatever. Absurd shit. Fucking hell.
But in a way, this desperation tells another story. It underlines how elections are about more than individual changes and policies, but about values, temperament, character.
Values?
And
Whoa,
a bigger question.
Keith, values? I thought you said that you were pragmatic but not ideological. Values? That sounds a little bit like ideology to me.
Sorry, it sounds a bit anti-Semitic.
No, but
Well, it sounds
true.
like-
It's not though, because his values are changing the Labour Party and expelling people for being the wrong kind of Jew, which is in no way anti-Semitic whatsoever.
True.
Because I mean, I probably shouldn't talk about this all the time. There's probably more important things to discuss in terms of rather than harping on about internal Labour Party stuff to do with policy relating to Israel. But it's supremely tilting the fact that people who the Jewish members of the Labour Party stepped outside of what people who aren't even like fucking goyim people trying to dictate what was acceptable opinions for them to have. I think it was just kind of revolting. It really gets my goat. That's a thing that genuinely happened.
Which side are you on? Who do you hold in your mind's eye when you're making decisions? Now, everything I have fought for has been shaped by my life. Every change I've made to this party has been about a cause. The answer to that question, the only answer, the working people of this country delivering on their aspirations, earning their respect, serving their interests. And I know that people are looking at this election, looking at me personally. So I make this promise. I will fight for you. I took this Labour Party 4.5 years ago, and I changed it into the party you see today. Now, I was criticised for some of the changes I made. Change is always like that. Always people who say, don't do it, you're going too fast.
Or just don't lie to get elected and then do the exact opposite of the things you said you were going to do.
It's incredible just how much he just gets away with just lying all the time.
Yeah.
It's so tilting.
Like, it's not if you'd said, I'm going to change the Labour Party, and then you changed it, that's fine. But you didn't, did you? You were going to make the ethical case for socialism, and then went, look, we're all Thatcherites, right?
Speaking of the ethical case for socialism, turns out that I think it's been leaked to iNews that Labour are bringing back PFIs.
Of course they are.
So
It's the perfect new Labour policy.
Absolutely. Starmer is planning to use private finance to boost Britain's infrastructure as part of a 10-year strategy. According to industry sources, the party has drawn up plans to increase private sector financing and streamline the planning system for nationally significant infrastructure projects. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so we literally...
The fact that it's crippling the crippling hospitals, having that debt on their books all the time, not a problem, apparently. Just pay it down the road. Let future dickheads deal with that.
This is what de-risking capital investment's all about, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Yeah. Socialism for billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
But wherever I saw a fork in the road, at the Crown Prosecution Service, in my work in Northern Ireland, and especially here in the Labour Party, it always comes back to this. The golden thread. Country first, party second, I will fight for you. Because you cannot restore trust and respect with the politics.
Just for a second, think about the way in which the media hyper focused on everything the Jam Man did. Everything.
I know.
He
Right?
wore a tie. That was too much. He didn't wear a tie. That was too much.
Whoa. Speaking of that specific point about like the not wearing a tie, remember when Keir Starmer did a speech like last week where he didn't wear a tie and had his sleeves rolled up? All the journalists were like, "Oh, he's leading from the front. Look at Keir Starmer. Look how he looks like a real kind of workman with his sleeves rolled up and with a top button undone, no tie on." I'm just like, the absolute sycophancy that these motherfuckers showing to this, this fucking, this human suit put before them in the role of potential prime minister of this country.
He's one of them. He's absolutely one of them. The way in which they savaged and lied and just smeared the shit out of Corbyn, and yet this guy's got so many foibles, so much bullshit behind all of it, and yet he's given the easiest ride of any leader I've ever known.
Literally the easiest road to Downing Street I've ever seen of any politician.
He's gonna become prime minister by default.
The two greatest words in the English language.
He's gonna get a buy into Downing Street.
literally.
That's by BYE. Just
yes.
He's not interesting enough to be bisexual. No,
sure.
He's definitely, unfortunately, very straight. I mean, look at him.
Absolutely. It's worth pointing out as well, whilst just going back to PFI 1 second, somebody pointed out in chat, it's really important to understand this as well, is that the interests or the interest that you pay on PFI debt is more than just for regular government borrowing, like on bond yields or whatever.
Yep.
So they have to do PFIs because of Rachel Reeves's fiscal rules, which again are completely self-imposed. So yeah, thanks Rachel. Sure. Big fan.
Politics of protest. You cannot move our country forward with...
True. I mean, Rishi did get a buy into Downing Street, but that's via incumbency. Like, Boris Johnson did win a 90-seat majority, again, because of the smearing of Corbyn and all the rest of it. But that did happen. Whereas this guy's going to overturn it's not a 90 anymore, it's fucking 70-seat majority or whatever. But he's going to overturn that and get 150, 200-seat majority by accident. Just ridiculous shit.
Oh, actually, good point. Sorry, someone pointing out in chat. Or is the Dad's Army reference an awkward pop culture reference? Does that do you think it works?
Yeah, I think teenage pop. Yeah, teenage Dad's Army. Yeah.
The thing is, the actual reference itself wasn't awkward, but Starmer's delivery absolutely was awkward. So I'm going to give it. Yeah. I'm going to give him.
True. Whenever he tries this. Also, he talked about being in a football team when he was a kid as well. So I think, it definitely has touched on nonsense.
Yeah.
And gestures. And you cannot truly serve the country if you only do what is convenient. That is why I changed the Labour Party.
Hang a minute.
All right, you changed the Labour Party. You've said 20 fucking times now, mate.
Well, it's clear that that's the line they want to hammer into people, right? No one pays attention as much as us. They've not heard it a million times, but even so, the fact that they say, "Oh, we don't want to make the easy choices" or whatever, anyone can make you are making the easy choices. It's very easy to say we are not going to inconvenience any rich people ever, and they're going to donate to our party, fill our coffers up. We'll be able to put some electoral outwards out. All of the press barons will leave us alone. Well, as long as we protect their... That is the easy road. The hard road is to go, actually, no, we will attack the vested interest. We will tax the rich people. We will take on the media smears and we'll win. That's a hard decision because the people who you're going to be doing it for are the people who don't hold electoral power.
Look, his literal position is, I'm making the difficult decision to suck Rupert Murdoch's cock.
Yeah, so I'm taking the difficult decision to take the path of least resistance towards Downing Street.
Yeah, I'm making the difficult decision to ensure that all of the media are really nice to me and just allow me to become prime minister. Oh well, I mean, you honestly, there were people on the Sun that didn't have your bravery, mate. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Honestly, I fucking hate his face already, and he's not even prime minister yet.
10
You have
more
to
years
put
of
this
this, Kev.
wanker
10 more
through
years of Keir
a
Starmer.
decade of the. Can we? I mean, honestly, I'm praying for a massive coronary or something. Because even if we get Rachel Reeves after that, at least she's not as annoying. She's evil and horrible, but she's not like this. He's just so aggravating to me.
I find Reeves more annoying than Starmer.
Well, that's just cattiness, isn't it? Let's be honest. Silly.
Handbags at dawn.
True.
Serve the British people. I see no fight in the Prime Minister, no appetite to do the same for his party.
True.
They will not change. Seriously, whenever he is confronted by factions in his party, people who are miles away from serving
He
the
called the general election.
values of the British people,
Mm.
he caves in every time. A party-first weakness at the heart of his leadership. Rwanda is the perfect example. He never believed in it. He knew it wouldn't work. He said that.
Yeah, I bet he's glad he didn't take that bet with Piers Morgan. Yeah, about not. I bet you won't get any planes off before the election because he'd have fucked himself there.
He tried to stop it when he was Chancellor, but he was too weak to stand up to his party. He caved in, and now he's gone through, and it's cost £600 million. And now he's called an election before it can be tested. Weakness upon weakness.
Okay, what's the betting? What's the betting that this fucker still tries to get a flight off to Rwanda or something?
I don't think I think they'll cancel it. I think that they've released.
I hope so, but like, once if the press start getting into him, let's say a month into his reign, the press start getting into him. There's boats coming across the channel, etc., etc. He'll say, "Look, we've already spent this 600 million. How about we get some planes going to Rwanda?" I wouldn't put it past him. I honestly wouldn't put it past him.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The comment I was going to talk about when he called like weakness after weakness, I'm just like, what's the best thing that at any point in the comments he says weak, weak, weak to presumably Ed Davey as the leader of the opposition.
Sorry, but to be fair, Ed Davey is pretty weak, and this guy's going to have 200-seat majority, so like he can basically do dick swinging for the next 5 years.
Well, somebody floated this on Twitter that it might get to the point where Labour have so many MPs that the left-wing MPs can split and form their own party that's bigger than the Liberal Democrats, and then the Labour Party can be the government
be
and the
amazing.
opposition.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so funny. You know what? For the
That literally happened
go.
in that literally happened one time in Barbados, I think it was.
Oh fuck yeah.
What the Labour Party won every single seat in Parliament, and one of them stood as an independent to be like the de facto opposition.
So Her Majesty's Royal Opposition, or as we call him, Dave. Hey, that's amazing.
On Saturday, I was in Stafford, and I was with a couple. Actually, we went into their kitchen to have a cup of tea. One of them was a paramedic, and her wife worked in a jewellery shop. They've got 2 children. They bought their house where we had our cup of tea 5 years ago, and they've been on a fixed-rate mortgage ever since, and they could afford it.
No, Mad Cat, there's going to be loads of Labour MPs in Scotland. The SNP, look, the SNP are still narrowly ahead in the general polling, but they're not. They were miles ahead, and they're probably going to drop 10 seats, and they're all going to go to Labour.
Some polls have Labour ahead now as well.
Yeah.
We'll see. When it comes to the election, you know, Keziah Dugdale's comments about student fees might come back to bite them, but...
Yeah, and he's, what's his face? Oh, fuck's sake. The leader, what's his name?
John Swinney.
No, the Labour leader in Scotland.
Anna Sarwar.
Anna Sarwar. I couldn't get Hamza Youssef on my mind. And no, that makes me racist. They're 2 brown people, and I couldn't tell them apart. I know. Anyway, he fucked up this week, didn't he? He falsely accused his own family's business of not paying the national living wage, when actually they pay above that. And he had to be corrected by a trade union that actually your family aren't slave drivers, mate. You just think, you fucking plum. You made yourself look worse.
At least he probably is the worst leader
He's so
who's
rubbish.
not in the country, like even out of all regional things, who's not Rishi Sunak.
True. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it just goes to show you again, right? Liberal identity politics doesn't work. Just having representation, Anna Sarwar, Hamza Yusuf, Rishi Sunak, just having brown people for the sake of it isn't necessarily the way to go.
And also Vaughan Gething, like as a black guy gets put into your First Minister for Wales, immediately has a massive scandal.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm sure there are loads of really great brown people we could have in those positions.
Sadiq Khan is the
Sadiq Khan would be absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I'd take that 100%.
Yeah. He's like the high profile figure from an ethnic
Just
minority background who's doing pretty good.
He's doing all right. Yeah. He could. He'd have to get back into the Commons and all of that. But I mean, Johnson did it. You know.
True.
It's a well trodden path at that point. And he fucked his way to the Downing Street.
But then they've come off it and they've searched for the best next deal. And the best next deal is hundreds of pounds a month more. Hundreds of pounds a month more. And they're struggling. How do you think they feel when the Prime Minister says, we've turned a corner? How do you think they feel when they see the people who did that to their mortgages swanning around in the House of Lords because Sunak was too weak to stand up to them? Service isn't just a word. It requires action. You have to roll up your sleeves and change things for the better. I have changed this Labour Party, dragged it back to service,
hell.
and I will do exactly.
Yeah, he really is banging on that point now.
God.
Jesus.
Shut up, Keith.
Yeah.
Angela
Rayner's Northern, which is the ultimate person of colour. You think about it.
True. The most oppressed minority, Mancunians.
And Ginger. Jesus.
True, absolutely. And as we all know from Diane Abbott, that's just like being a member. That's just like being Roma, being Ginger. It's the same thing. God, sorry.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah.
No,
I'll be honest with you.
She's retracted that statement. So
there are elements of her character I won't miss from British frontline politics. I think in general, I think she's been a positive person, the first black woman MP ever.
Well, she's done incredible things in her constituency. She's been at the forefront of the fight against things like all of the proper socialist causes we all believe in. However, she does tend to put her foot in it.
But also, she is a bit of a knob. So
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
There's a toss up,
I just think she has. She has a tendency to speak before thinking.
I didn't like the fact that she sent her kid to a private school as well. Anyway,
but I didn't know that.
Yeah, she sent her kid to a private school.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, you're perfectly entitled to do that, but I am perfectly entitled to judge you on the basis that you've previously in the past said it was immoral to send your kids to private school.
That's a bit hypocritical, isn't it?
A little bit. So, like I say, a bit of a knob. Not a bad person, not an evil person. Would have been perfectly happy for her to become a member of the government at some point under John Cromlins, but it was not to be.
The same for Westminster. That is the choice at this election. Service or self-interest. Stability or chaos.
Well, just for the lol, let's say, okay, your thing comes to pass. Left-wing Labour MPs break off, become opposition. Allow Corbyn, the independent from Islington North, to join, so he becomes leader of the opposition again.
I mean, I floated that as a joke on Twitter, but it would absolutely be very, very funny if just like through all of this magical.
Do you remember when and he could just lean across and be like, "Do you remember when you were my shit Brexit minister, you prick? Remember that? Remember how you fucked up our policy on Brexit, dickhead?"
Literally, just like the British public voted to leave, and you forced me to put on a platform. It'd be a really weird dynamic.
And the 8 Tories in the corner just going, "What the fuck is happening? What happened here?" No.
A Labour Party that has changed, or a Tory party that has run away from the mainstream. The choice is yours. You can stop the chaos. You can turn the page. You can join with us, and together we can rebuild our country. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Keith. That's lovely.
It really does. It's not believable, is he?
No, none of it at all. Should we listen to some of the questions?
Absolutely.
Aid.
Well, you say questions. What you actually mean is very, very, very light probing.
Well, it could. Well, I would look. It'd be much more interesting if he was being lightly probed. But no, it can't be worse than another Tory fuck up. By the way, he went to a biscuit making factory in Worcester or something. Rishi Sunak. And it turns out that two of the people who asked questions, that were all in like the work overalls of the factory, two of them were actually Tories. Two of them were literally Tory workers.
Yeah. Mayor Quimby,
put on the coat and asked him a question.
Mayor Quimby, your election seems to have the momentum of a runaway freight train.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Like, the journalists know who your workers are, right? Because you're all like in the same, you all take the same train to the same event, you dickheads. Like they probably went to the same fucking private school. They're probably mates. They're texting each other. Like, you think they just because they've put on the fucking like the Warburton's jacket or whatever,
The high vis vest.
like at least in fucking question time, they were like in a larger group of people. Put on a pair of shades, you never know. But this is ridiculous.
Very, very funny, very, very funny. I think actually Jim Clark points out in chat that was a nothing speech, and I agree. Like, what do we even get out of that?
It was pointless. Yeah.
He just kept saying, "I've changed Labour Party. We'll bring stability and security. Please vote for change. The Tories have created chaos." There you go.
Yeah.
Fucking there you go. What was it? 25 minutes of speech. There you go. I've summarized it in
Change.
10 seconds.
Just
change.
The word change.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Also, before we move on to the questions, I would also point out again that if you're enjoying the content, you can keep the stream going and keep us both employed here on twitch.tv and youtube.com by subscribing on Twitch for $4.99, sorry, it's now more expensive, or for free with Twitch Prime by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Get you a free sub every single month, access to our animated and static emotes in Twitch chat, and ad-free viewing over on twitch.tv. If you've got a message that you want to have us read out, we've got text-to-speech, 100 bits on my end, 200 on Kev's end. If you want to have your message read out on YouTube, super chats are available. Memberships on YouTube, I believe you have a 99p and another option. I have 99p memberships. Get you access to static emotes. And for my end, you get my archive live streams as well. But also, my opinion, the best way to support the stream is gifting memberships over on YouTube. Help spread the love around and boost our streams in the algorithm. So if you do want to donate, but you have a message, I would highly recommend gifting memberships in 99p. I pop on my end, or I think it's $2.99 per gift on your end, Kev. So your base, you can support the stream should you wish to.
I probably should know the answer to that question, but I don't.
Thank you.
Whoa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're now going to take some questions from the media. I've got a list here with hopefully everybody on. Anushka from ITV first, please. Anushka. Drop the mic moment.
Yeah, sorry about that. Keir Starmer, you've had a pop at Rishi Sunak. Well, the Conservatives have been having a pop at you. They say you're too weary for this. They have suggested that you may not be too tough enough. You might get too tired in this campaign. What do you think they are getting at, and how would you respond?
I think they're just so desperate. They're rummaging around in a sort of toy box, coming out with military service. I mean, it really is desperate. The difference is this, I mean, politically, it is really important. We've had a strategy, we've had a plan for this election that we've worked on for 4.5 years, and we're working to our plan and our strategy. I realise that may be something that the Tories don't recognise, a strategy, a plan that you stick to, but that's what we're doing, and we're going to continue doing so. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, you always stick to your plan. You've never gone back on anything you've ever said. No,
True.
agree.
If there's one thing you can expect,
consistency. Yeah.
Absolutely, the most consistent man in politics. Absolutely, consistently U-turny. Ayo.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. If you're constantly U-turning, you're just spinning round and round. Oh my God, he's just like Rishi. No.
Chris, BBC.
Thank you, Chris Mason, BBC News. Keir Starmer, you've been leader of the opposition for 4 years. Isn't it a bit late?
Also,
Isn't it a bit late?
One sec. Not answering the question. because he didn't
straight
answer the
up.
question.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
Very first question, no real answer to the question. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's a really easy one. That's not a policy choice. Just go, no, I'm not sleepy. Fuck you. I'm more awake than you, you prick. Oh, you want a being awake contest, do you, Rishi? Let's go. 24-hour stream on Twitch. Boom. No gamer words though. Okay, no.
To tell people who you are and what you stand for.
Chris, I don't think you can ever repeat enough who you are and what you stand for. And some of the stuff about my background, my mum and dad, and the impact that they have had on me is stuff I've said many times over. But I do think...
Really? I hadn't noticed. Did anyone else notice he said this before? No? Okay.
Because we come into the election, it is important to repeat that and to explain
yeah,
how
you know
that has
shit.
shaped me and shaped my thinking. And that's why if you take our first steps, economic stability, why is that so important? Yes, it's important as an election issue going into the election. Of course it is, because it's one of the basics that everybody is looking for as they decide who they're going to vote for. It's a sort of bedrock. But also, what I'm trying to get across today is it's important beyond that, because I know the impact that losing control of the economy has on working people. I've given an example today of Stafford, that couple in Stafford, who really struggling now with their mortgage. They're probably going to have to move. The family in Wolverhampton who won't have a second child. And that is something I can feel, because I knew when I was growing up what it was like not to be able to pay the bills. I think it's important for people to know that about me, because in the end, politics is about policies, of course it is. It is about parties, of course it is. But it's also, I think voters want to know, how do I think this person would make a decision? Who would they have in their mind's eye? I think that's really important in politics, and that's why...
It's still not your values, though.
Thank you,
No.
Chris. Beth.
That's not your values. Do you believe in
That's fine.
do you believe in equality? Do you want to create a more equitable society? Do you believe are you like pro market? Are you pro outcome? Do you believe in you utilitarian? Or do you believe in virtue ethics? Like obviously not necessarily that particular phraseology or whatever, but like those are questions.
Have you
of
even
value.
read Locke?
Well, like, whereas when you just say like, well, actually, I think what's really important in politics is to know that my dad was a tool maker. Like, fuck, oh my god, that's not a
But
value.
To be fair, his dad was a tool maker.
True, he did make a tool. Yeah, indeed.
Well, in that sense, his mum was also a tool maker. But yeah.
News. Keir Starmer, some form of national service is actually quite popular with voters. Would you support a version of the Prime Minister's plan? And I'm a mother of a teenage boy. You're the father of a teenager. Do you think your son and his friends would be enthusiastic about signing up? Thank you.
No. The fuck are you talking? No. Who thinks that's a good idea? This is just this is the last thrashings of the boomers' desperate attempts to shit on anyone younger than them.
It's like, what's crazy as well. Tomorrow I'm definitely gonna do a whole big thing about how I feel like basically all of our parties are just desperately signaling they fucking despise young people in this country. And
Yep.
it's like the thing is, even the questions from the media like have it implicit. It's like, well, and even like she's talking about her own child here, going, my
Yep.
child probably wouldn't really want to do national service. I'm like, why aren't you asking about what policies he would have to help children? What policies are he even looking to want to market at young people? And what they're actually doing is saying, well, we can't rule out raising tuition fees. And Keziah Dugdale was talking about creating tuition fees in Scotland where there currently aren't any tuition fees, whilst also almost kind of soft agreeing with the Tories that the number of foreign students has to come down, which will make it even more likely that universities will go bust, offering fewer courses to the current crop of young people because they're currently being subsidised by foreign students. Like, we need literally any policies that are worth it for young people. But young people all vote Labour. They're not a swing constituency, so they don't fucking care about them. It's so depressing. And then
they vote at lower levels as well. Unfortunately,
and people kept going, oh well, why aren't young people engaged and enthused about politics? Well, first because they fucking hate us, and second of all because we were enthused about politics from 2017 and 2019, and we were told that we shouldn't be participating, that we were naive, that we didn't know what we were talking about. We were being bribed. The amount of people said that we're being bribed by Jeremy Corbyn to vote for it. Like that's politics. Politics is about creating policies that people will vote for you to be able to implement. That's how politics works. No one talks about old people being bribed by the triple lock. Nobody talks about middle income earners being bribed with low mortgage rates or help to buy.
They're
Yeah,
actual
exactly.
humans. Yeah.
The political class treat them as real people whose votes and whose opinions are worthy of comment and whose material interests are worthy of courting in terms of political policy. With young people, no, you have no agency. You're just the recipients of electoral bribes, even though that's literally exactly what Help to Buy is. Help to Buy is just a bribe for upper middle class or slightly higher middle class teenagers wanting to use mummy and daddy's money to be able to get on the property ladder, to be able to better themselves whilst pumping liquidity into the housing market to increase the house price whilst getting them on there as well. Again, this Ponzi scheme that the UK housing market has become. But did anyone talk about, young professionals being bribed by Help to Buy?
Also,
never a moment was ever mentioned.
It's such bullshit anyway, because politicians offering things that people want in order to get elected and then potentially do that thing for the people. Isn't that what democracy's supposed to be? Last time I checked, isn't that literally how it's supposed to work?
Yeah, that's literally that's how political electoral politics is supposed to work. People want a policy that's going to benefit them, so we'll implement the policy.
But no, it's just two brands of neoliberalism agreeing on basically everything. And if you don't like it, you're a trot or a fascist, and you can fuck off and die.
You're a populist. You're not an adult in the room. Like,
Exactly.
honestly, I think I can take right wingers. I can debate right wingers. I can have conversations with them. I can try and show it, at least to the audience, may not be the interlocutor whose minds I change. When I debate a right winger, I know they're being sincere. I know that we have differing philosophies and ideologies, and I can beat them on that battleground by showing my plans have more utility. But liberals don't debate. They don't discuss. They just treat everybody who's outside their tiny little minute Overton window of performative neoliberalism as being people who are unworthy of political positioning from the left or from the right. Or some from the
Unless
far
you
right,
already
I guess,
agree with them, you're not serious.
Exactly, and they will use so many canards to dismiss those they feel are not worthy of taking part in political discussion. Again, we've talked about this on stream a lot. The discussion of student politics, activist politics, as like any amount of emancipation or trying to in any way change society at all for the better, rather than just tinkering around the edges, bollocking around with the economic structure a little bit, rather than fundamentally creating a better society. Well, you want to change things and go, well, that's just student politics, isn't it? You want to change the world because you think you're so much better. Oh, that's a student attitude. I'm like, no, the country is shit because people like you, complacent fuckers like you with mortgages or whatever that you got when rates were low and house prices were cheap in the 90s, or you got on an extra property from buy-to-let mortgage under the Blair administration. You've been fucking riding high, mate, this whole time. We never a victim of austerity, so you have to fucking care. People who live through that going, we should change the system some more, it's very easy for you to dismiss them. But when Brexit was the problem, now we got to throw all the toys out of the pram to stop Brexit. Oh no, my visa-free travel to the south of France might go. Oh well, I guess we must absolutely never vote for Labour for change because they're the ones supporting the Tory Brexit. Hate these people. Hate them. Absolutely.
But I do accept the proposition that we need strong defences, and that has to be the first duty of any.
Right, but how does having 18-year-olds who don't want to be there occupying the time of service personnel who are already stretched thin by the cuts, how is that helping defence in any way? Because after the year's up, they're just going to leave because they didn't want to be there in the first place. Like, it's such a stupid, pointless idea. And again, it's just there to placate like 20,000 fucking 60 and 70-year-olds who read the Daily Mail. That's it.
Who never did national service themselves as well. Worth pointing that out.
Absolutely, yeah. Because if you did national service, you're either in your 90s or you're dead. Because that ended in like 1963 or something ridiculous. So like you're not around for that anymore.
Government. But I think this plan is desperate. I think they're rummaging around in the toy box to try and find any plan that they can throw on the table. I don't think it'll work. You've seen what military experts, those with experience, have said about it. You've seen what the government said about it just a few days ago when they were asked, that would take away from the resources of the...
Yeah, because you're asking them to just babysit people for a year. Because they're not going to like train them properly, because why would they? Because You're going to put all of your resources into people who've like volunteered to actually join the army, not this year-long, like, I don't even know what the opposite of a Rumspringer. I don't know, whatever this thing is.
Military rather than help the resources of the military. This is a government that has hollowed out our armed forces. The army is now smaller than since Napoleon, I think. And so you have.
But to be fair, he was allowed to be small then because he was very small. So it's
haven't got a coherent plan on the table. At the same time, to take the money from the levelling up pot.
It ended in 1960. There you go.
Abandoned the project they put before the electorate in 2019. I spoke about this not a few weeks ago when I said levelling up is something which.
So 60, you'd have to be what, 1942 to be 18. So yeah, you'd be what, fucking in your 80s, 90s at the very least.
Actually, is what people hope for. What Boris Johnson was doing was playing on people's hopes rather than playing on their fears in 2019. He didn't deliver on it. Now they're basically binning it for the next desperate idea. And in the end, I think that this election is going to be about the cost of living and the NHS. And the government is not addressing those issues. It's depleting the pots. And in the end, I will put that choice to the electorate to say you can either have a Labour government which will use the available money on levelling up and for our NHS, or you can have a Sunak government with a desperate, ill-thought-through plan which will use that money on some sort of service which hasn't been defined. As soon as they were asked what would happen if people didn't want to go into the army, they started saying, I think James cleverly yesterday, that teenagers could be firefighters, first responders. You know, they haven't.
So they just want them to LARP for a year.
I mean,
You're going to go live action role play as a fucking firefighter for a year.
It's impressive how badly the Tories have absolutely bungled like their first kind of big policy pitch, like a big kind of flagship policy pitch for the next election. It's made them look even more dumb than usual. It's quite funny. Like, it's impressive the level to which the Rishi Sunak might be the death knell for the Conservative Party. You know what? Good. Fuck them.
Yeah, good, yeah. Absolutely. How many unelected prime ministers have they fucking had now? Like, you deserve to be destroyed. Yeah.
Thought it through. It's a desperate policy. They're rummaging around from day to day to try and find anything to fling on the table. It isn't going to work. My priorities are levelling up and the NHS. Thank you, Beth. Paul from Channel 4. Paul.
Morning, Keir. Look, 2 months from now, you might be Prime Minister, the man making those difficult calls. Or overnight, there are reports of dozens of people killed or injured at a refugee camp in Rafah because of blasts which authorities in Gaza say are down to Israeli airstrikes. As UK Prime Minister,
which hang on, what?
I was going to say, they say the fault of Israeli bombs. Didn't you hear what BBC? It was just an accident.
It was just a mishap.
Just an oopsie. Just blown up a refugee camp. My bad. Have it.
How does this keep happening? They just keep accidentally bombing all of these civilians and killing tens of thousands of them. Honestly, they've had such a bad run of luck with these mistakes.
It's true. They really are the most unlucky army in the world.
The IDF cannot catch a break.
It's true.
God bless them. Fucking Jesus. And the thing is, they know they don't have to lie properly or convincingly. They can just come out and say, yeah, it was a mistake. We're investigating, though. It'll be fine, yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
By the time it comes out that it wasn't a mistake and it was deliberate, everyone will have forgotten, apart from
because the red line,
like us,
the red line doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly.
No red line. They'll just choose another red line and another one and another one. If there's no, it's like giving someone an ultimatum without a time limit. They know they don't have to do anything. Yeah.
It's just like the Shireen Abu Akleh moment where it was just like, no, we didn't do it. Actually, it was the Palestinians who did it. Or maybe we did do it, but it was a mistake. We did do it, but she was actually a combatant. Oh yeah, we did do it. It was a targeted assassination. She was in no way a threat.
And then we attacked her funeral and forced.
And then we attacked her funeral.
to drop the coffin on the floor, which is
jokes, banter.
Ooh,
just a bit of banter.
Oh God, some people can't.
Day in a life for a true
they?
Zionist geezer.
True.
what would you be saying right now to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu?
Stop.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Can we all have a round of applause for Keith? That is honestly never before in the I have in the British oratory, ironically, considering I can't get a fucking sentence out, has never been as soaring and beautiful and poetic as that. Honestly, Churchill is rolling in his grave thinking, I wish I had this man's patter.
Literally, as people have pointed out in chat, it's like, this is how we get Netanyahu to cool his jets. Just go, get up, go home. I'm opposed to what you're doing, and legally, he has to stop.
He does.
It's true.
He does.
It's true. You just say stop, and he has to stop. Like, don't need
Yeah,
to.
no, that's the thing. No, it's actually what he's doing here is he'll say stop, and then Bibi says hammer time, because they're actually in a dual. They're in a MC Hammer tribute double act.
Yeah.
Together, and then they just go oh, hammer time. Can't touch this. Someone make that meme happen. Fuck it.
Those scenes, those reports, are horrifying. And what makes it worse is that this was a safe zone with women and children in it, and families that already fled a number of times. It is.
But it was an upsy-dupsy. What? Yeah,
the small beans state.
Let
Wupsie-fucky-wucky.
Let us he who was not accidentally, for the millionth time, bombed a refugee camp throw the first stone. But if you do throw a stone at an Israeli tank, you will be arrested, even if you're a 5-year-old child. But that's legitimate because they do have she has a right to defend herself. So
for a serious point here, it is absolutely it's below humanity. The fact that there were all these lies about beheaded babies at the start of the fucking conflict, right? All of these lies. Joe Biden lying about pictures of beheaded babies that he's seen.
Titty football. Football was the thing they were saying.
Yeah, and now we have actual pictures, actual videos of beheaded babies in Gaza. Where's the condemnation now? It's nowhere. Turns out it was never about the mythical beheaded babies at all. It was all about Western Israel's impunity, complete impunity, in terms of the West's response to what's happening. The West wants Israel to be the colonial power in the region and a outpost of the American establishment, and that's all that matters.
Which means they get to do whatever they like.
Exactly.
There's literally, after this, there's nothing they can't do now.
Yep.
Literally, the whole world went, don't attack Rafah, and they've just literally fucking bombed the refugee camp, killing dozens. And what's going to happen? Nothing. They know.
And again, always,
it's almost like Bibi's flexing on the whole world now. He's like, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah,
so
ICC
might continue to do it.
ICC might issue a warrant for my arrest. Don't care. Don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's disgusting. Honestly, it's so fucking.
I'm honestly.
We'll look back on the. Honestly, we will look back on this, the disgusting way in which we look back on like Rwanda and Western support for the South Africa, apartheid South Africa, and this will be so much worse.
Western support for Indonesia and Pakistan as well. Because those are really awful genocides. Because Indonesia have done 2. With the backing of the unit, with the backing of the US and the UK.
To a degree, most of the time that wasn't even in the media though. Like this has been really open and front and center, and the Israelis have just done whatever the fuck they liked. They've literally been like dancing in the fucking dresses of dead people that they've fucking slaughtered and stuff, and posting it on TikTok for the lols, and nothing, and they're not doing anything about it. It's it's psychotic.
The translate tweet button has been the most fucking doom-pilling thing I've ever had to access on my time on this earth.
Yeah,
so much watching Israeli right-wing journalists just
fucking
froth at the mouth.
Well, it's not even just right-wing. Where's the left-wing?
They're all right-wing. They're all right-wing. Israel is a right-wing country now. The people predicted this. Gideon Levy's got a really good point. There's a really great Gideon Levy article in Haaretz talking about how essentially this is the result of the Oslo process. The Oslo process put conditions on the Palestinians, but no conditions on Israel. And Western governments' continual looking away as Israel flouted what with international law and the agreements of the Oslo Accords. Created the situation that we're in. And if you look at the differences, for example, between the desire to negotiate of Arafat and then later on Abbas, compared to George Habash's desire to use, to resist the occupation through military means, and the desire for the creation of a unitary, secular, multi-ethnic, multiracial democracy, just shows you that maybe after all this time, George Habash was right. Because the result of the Oslo process and the Western government's continual allowance for Israel to do the settlements, to do the land grabs, to mow the lawn, to kill the people, to get away with bloody murder with no actual accountability for anything they've done, has just turned everybody in the country right-wing. And they'll only get more right-wing. And it's basically, essentially, as we've seen from the kind of rhetoric that's been talked about by Israeli politicians and Israeli journalists, they just become fucking psychotic, bloodthirsty maniacs hell-bent on genocide. And this is literally, and again, it's a product of material conditions. It's a product of the kind of situation that they have put themselves in and they have been allowed to create in the West Bank and Gaza.
Yeah. So hang on, Destiny and Loner Box are going to Israel? Really? Oh, that's fucking wild.
They do Vox Pops or some shit?
I don't know. I hope they're not going Rappaport. Jesus.
Where is the apartheid? Where is the apartheid?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I went to the nice bits of Tel Aviv and I didn't see any dead
Fucking
Palestinians. So.
It's literally just like, the people this argument keeps coming up all the time, and it really fucking grates on me. They keep saying, well, if there are Arab citizens and Jewish citizens in Israel, I'm like, in Israel proper. When we talk about apartheid, we're talking about the fucking West Bank that they illegally occupy through huge swathes of Area C. Like, it's obvious they control Area C. It was written into the Oslo Accords, and this is explicitly an apartheid state. The fact that there is a difference in terms of who gets to travel, who rules, who does what, who has access to citizenship and who doesn't, out of who lives in Area C and who lives in Area B and Area A based upon their ethnicity, is exactly why it's an apartheid state. But they just go, oh, well, they try and act like the Palestinian state exists in terms of international order, when the controls over that is explicit in the hands of the US, who don't recognise Palestine. Like, they're so willfully obtuse, ignorant and deflectionary because they know that we're right. They know that we're right, so they have to completely deflect from it.
I don't think for the most part, the kind of sort of professional shit stirrers, I don't think it's ignorance. I mean, in the case of Rappaport, it definitely is because he's a knob. But for the most part, like the fart lows and all the rest of it, they know that they're talking shit. They absolutely 100% know that they're talking utter shit and that they've lost the PR battle. But they don't really fear losing the PR battle because it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
They're going to interview public figures. Oh, for fuck's sake! Well, I'm sure Destiny will do an absolutely fair and unbiased job. And
also, thank you MZNO for the £10 super chat. As long as we keep talking and watching, we are fighting. Stay true, chat. Thank you very much for the support. I appreciate that. As always, remember you can always gift memberships and super chat and Twitch stuff if you want to support the stream.
True.
To see that, I've been saying for some time that the Rafah offensive should not take place.
But it has, you dopey shit. So what now? You're about to...
No, he said stop.
What are you going to do?
But Netanyahu legally has to stop. He will, and he's just said he has to stop. That's it.
Yeah, that's airtight.
There you go.
Yeah. And you know what the Israelis always abide by international law, so it's fine. They've never once gone against international law, so it's absolutely wonderful.
And what you saw there was the consequences, the inevitable consequences of that offensive. It should not take place. And we should join with...
It has. What do you mean it should not? Why are you talking about a thing as if it isn't happening right now? They're literally talking about them bombing the fucking Rafah concentration camp. Fuck it, you might as well call it that. Refugee camp. It is happening. You are about to become prime minister. You can't just obfuscate your way out of this. You're going to have a policy, and just saying stop isn't anything. It's again, going back to what he said earlier, it's an insult. You are insulting the intelligence of every person in Britain, as well as, of course, betraying every Palestinian. But you know, that's no different than his policy before, I guess.
With our allies to ensure that it doesn't take place. There needs to be a ceasefire. It needs to be in place straight away. And that means...
And when that doesn't happen, then what?
We'll be
Again,
very angry, and we will write a letter telling you how angry we are.
Look, it's an ultimatum without any time limit, so it means nothing. Again, it's like having a mandatory system where you won't be arrested for not doing the thing. It's not mandatory. Then.
Again, it's this liberal obsession with this idea that words are all it takes, that ideas are all. No, material pressure has to be placed on them. Take away the fucking toys.
Yep.
You want a child to behave, you take away the toys, and that's how you have to treat lunatic states like Israel.
Yeah, exactly. And they'll say, "Well, we don't sell that many weapons to them." Well, I won't fucking miss it then. Okay, are we not taking a stand here?
Kick the fucking ambassador out. The ambassador was going full on fucking genocide mode on the news the other month, whatever. Well, kick the fucking ambassador out. It's proper diplomatic pressure.
Yeah, the three countries of Norway, Spain, and the Republic of Ireland all recognise Palestine, and so being that they're part of the Hamas alliance, Israel withdrew their ambassadors. Okay, well, everyone can play that game then, dickhead. See ya.
Exactly. Fucking kick her out on the fucking cup. She's a fucking genocidal monster. She needs to get fucking expelled from the country at the very least, right? The woman's a fucking monster.
Yeah, no, she really is bad. That link does not work, Wayward. Anyway, thank you, Grey on Wannabe, for resubscribing. 36 months you have wasted with me, and I appreciate it enormously.
To provide the space for hostages to come out, for humanitarian aid to desperately get in.
Exactly. If they don't release the hostages, how did the IDF kill them? They can't bomb all of them.
And again, he also says we need to get aid in. How? How are you going to convince Israel, who are currently blocking aid in violation of provisional measures handed down by the International Court of Justice, no less? Closed all the crossing, Eretz, Kerem, Shalom, Rafah, all closed, right? That's where the aid should get in. You're saying, well, aid needs to get in. It needs to be a ceasefire. What the fuck are you going to do?
You say, stop.
Yeah, well, it's just get up, go home. I'm opposed to what you're doing. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. You just say,
this
stop.
is not the way to deal with a climate crisis.
Exactly. You put Israel on the naughty step. Actually,
True.
that's still too much. You won't even do that.
That's way more than Keir Starmer's ever going to do.
Yeah, no. That would actually be a consequence.
No, literally, I tell you what it is. It's like, do you remember the old, I think it was the old Cronenberg advert? No, it was Grolsch. It was the old Grolsch advert, where this Dutch guy would come in and say, stop, I prefer things a little slower. That's literally what they're doing.
I don't get that reference at all.
But that's literally what it is. It's just no. You can only invade Rafah in a limited and specific way.
Yeah, exactly. Now that is a reference I do get. Yes.
Yeah.
And to provide a foot in the door.
You can have a little bit of Rafah invasion as a treat.
As a treat, yeah.
The only long-term way through this to a two-state solution, which includes in the process the recognition of Palestine as a viable state alongside a safe and secure Israel.
Are you going to recognise Palestine when you become Prime Minister in a month and a half? Yeah. You could do that, couldn't you? You could do that straight away. It could be the first thing you did.
Mm.
You won't though, will you? Because you're a wanker.
Israel. So I'd be very clear about this. I was shocked by what I saw overnight. I think any human being would be shocked by what they saw overnight. It's got to stop. Thank you very much.
The people in that room,
neoliberal.
I genuinely want to sit them down and just say, why the fuck did you clap that?
I know.
Why
right?
did you think that answer was remotely impressive?
Why do they clap any of this? Why have they ever clapped at any of the fucking...
Well, at least I mean, it's party hackery shit, right? But look, that answer was so lacking any kind of moral fibre whatsoever. The fact that you clapped that quite vociferously for a second there, it wasn't like a standing ovation, but there was some force behind it. Why? What did you think was remotely even acceptable about that fucking response?
Again, it's liberals. Liberals thinking that the words are all you need rather than any kind of material pressure.
His answer was stop.
It's just, no, don't do it. Please don't. No, do it. Please don't. Again, literally the Hansblix moment. We will write you a letter telling you how angry we are. Like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Also, thank you, MZNO, for the £10 super chat. You're so depressed. You're 50. It's sad to say your first exposure to genocide was when John Pilger reported on the genocide in Cambodia.
Oh, John Pilger. Yeah.
You watched it live on ITV. It was when you became woke in 79 to 1980. I mean, well, at least...
Also, R.I.P. Pilger, he died relatively recently.
Very recently, yeah,
Yeah, good lad.
Well, Godspeed to the Vietnamese for ending that shit.
Also, one of the rare good Australians. Just saying.
Catherine, from GB News.
Thank you, Catherine Forster, GB News. You've talked about border security. We've seen 10,000 people make that dangerous crossing already this year. The government very clearly hasn't stopped the boats. You're scrapping the Rwanda scheme, but 15 European countries have said they need to look at things like safe third countries. And your border...
Are we going to sell our Rwanda thing to some other country? We might get some of the money back at least, I guess. We're just going to go, oh, Serbia, you want 500 housing units in Rwanda? Yeah.
Security Command. It's not going to be enough. Why do you think you're going to succeed where the government has failed?
Well, Catherine, thank you for raising that. Firstly, that 10,000 figure is now a record, I think, so far this year. That's record numbers coming over under this government. And that's why when I say they've lost control of the borders, that is the manifestation of them losing control of the borders. I've said what I've said about the Rwanda scheme. I don't think Rishi Sunak ever believed in it. That's why he questioned it in the first place. And I do not think it's a coincidence that he's called the election before it can be tested, rather than the autumn, when it would have been very, very strongly.
No, I mean, to be fair, I think he's quite happy to not have that, again, another defeat at the fucking Supreme Court again. But also, the reason he went is for the very, very serious and national interest that he was going to get kicked out of leadership of the Tory party.
And he wants to fuck off to California.
Well, he also does want that. But I think if he could have hung on till October, he probably would have done. But literally, it was like, if you don't call it now, you might not be here next week. So, like I say, there was a plan, a madcap plan that was never going to work. And even if they had got the letters, Brady wouldn't have fucking triggered the election or anything in the 1922 committee. But they wanted to literally get rid of him and then cancel the election, which was, constitutionally would have been a thing that could happen. But it's just the maddest shit you've ever heard. Like, I'll be honest, guys, I don't think you're very confident going into this election, are you? I think you might be shitting your pants.
Tested, but we've seen whether his claims that it's a deterrent actually were true. I absolutely agree. We've got to deal with the small boats coming over. That is intolerable. It's a breach of our borders. And it's
he did say, let me be clear. I forgot we were playing bingo. I was so annoyed at his fucking weird genocide acceptance bullshit. And that means I've got a line. Fuck yes. 2 hours later than everyone else. Woo. Anyway.
Some of the most vulnerable people in the world in boats in extremely dangerous circumstances. The Border Security Command that we've proposed can be put in place very quickly to work with other countries. I have seen this firsthand. When I was Director of Public Prosecutions, we had to deal with terrorist groups. These were sophisticated groups, much more sophisticated than the gangs that are running this fire trade, and sharing intelligence.
To be fair, when he was Shadow Brexit Secretary, he had to deal with the terrorist group known as the Trots. Yeah, I said it. John McDonnell, the nicest terrorist ever.
Absolutely.
Sharing data, sharing a strategy. We were able to take those gangs down.
I'll be honest with you, if Osama bin Laden had mainly stuck to writing letters of complaint to people, I don't think he'd be remembered as badly. He should have gone down the John McDonnell route.
I have never
also, by the way, pause one sec. People in chat saying that they're in Chingford and Wood Green, so they have the opportunity of potentially voting Labour for Pfizer, Shaheen. If it was me, I would still be voting Green. I don't think anybody who is going to accept the whip from what currently classifies itself as the quote-unquote Labour Party I don't think it's worth.
Also, Chingford, that's
Ian Duncan Smith.
Ian Duncan Smith, yeah.
It is IDS.
Although is he stepping down? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, I'd still be voting Green. I'm pretty just kind of done with the Labour Party at this point. But
Oh,
I think if anybody was going to vote Labour, I think Faiza Shaheen is a candidate who's definitely worth voting for if you feel like you have to.
Yeah, I think there are specific candidates and specific races, not like ethnic groups. I mean, like specific election races that it makes sense in your locality to maybe vote Labour in that case, in order to prevent some awful gobshite getting into the Commons or whatever. But yeah, I'm in the very lucky position that Labour are going to win my seat pretty easily. I mean, they even on a bad year they win it reasonably comfortably at the general election. So I'm going to vote Green because I can.
I think it's
completely,
also
absolutely guilt free.
I think the thing is, I think you probably, if you did vote Green, I think the fact that there was still a really close vote in Chingford, even in 2019, she's probably going to absolutely fucking cakewalk it anyway on current swing, so you probably don't have to worry.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I mean, given the fact that a lot of people are going to end up with basically either a red Tory or a blue Tory, vote Green then.
I mean, Faiza Shaheen is definitely a real proper socialist. She was still.
Oh no, that's fine. But like,
yeah.
I think I mean that kind of Labour candidate, unfortunately, is relatively rare now. So I think there are a lot of people. Again, it depends on where you are, your exact thing, and you'll know that situation better than people from outside. So deal with that accordingly. IDS has a majority of 1,262. Well, hopefully he won't be in the Commons, and hopefully he'll be at The Hague, but I doubt it.
These vile gangs are the only gangs apparently in the world that can't be broken up. If you can break a terrorist gang up, you can break these gangs up because they're making.
Actually, would it be The Hague? I don't know if it's not a war crime, is it? It's a crime against humanity. I don't know. Anyway, in jail is the point.
Money putting people.
You killed lots of people,
and that has to stop. And in addition to simply having the command, we will also give them additional powers akin to counter-terrorism powers, so they've got more resources and more powers. And I'm absolutely convinced that that can be done. Thank you very much, Catherine. I've got Ellie from the Argus, I think.
Ellie Crowd, Brighton Argus. Keir Starmer, you were in Brighton last night and you're in Lancing today for this, your first keynote speech of the general election campaign. Why have you chosen to come to Sussex today, and do you think that you can win East Worthing and Shoreham for the first time since 1997?
Yes. Yes, I do, and it's important to me on a number of fronts. Firstly, I think we're really making progress here, as Tom set out in his speech with the recent results. I detect that yearning for change here in Sussex. It is the southeast of England is where I grew up, and I'm determined that we will make progress in the southeast of England, because I know in my heart, I know from my background, what so many people in Sussex want from their lives, for themselves, for their families and their communities. So yes, we're here because we want to win, and we want to make that positive case for the future of our country. And it comes down to this. It's a choice really at the election, whether to give 5 more years after these 14 years of chaos to the Tories. 5 more years of chaos. They're not going to change. Sunak's not going to take on his party in some miraculous way and change his party. They're going to carry on just the same for 5 years. Or turn the page and rebuild our country with Labour. And that's the argument we make here in Sussex. It's the argument we make across the whole of the country. And that is the choice at the election. Thank you so much, Ellie.
What are you clapping for?
Jack at the Sun. Jack.
Thank you. Keir Starmer, what do you say to critics who fear that your votes for 16 policy is just the thin end of the wedge? You've previously flirted with the idea of giving EU citizens the vote. Can you rule that out?
Yes, but on the 16 to 17-year-olds, I strongly believe that if you can work, as you can when you're 16 or 17, if you can serve in our armed forces, if you pay your taxes, as you do if you're working as a 16 or 17-year-old, you've got a right to say how those taxes are going to be used. And therefore, I firmly believe, I've long believed, in the right of 16 and 17-year-olds to be able to vote.
No, it doesn't count if the journalist mentions 97. We're not playing random journo bingo. Come on now. Come on now.
But for what it's worth, Starmer is absolutely right. I do not disagree with anything here. Absolutely 100% correct. No taxation without representation.
True.
If you can work and pay tax, then you should be able to choose who is the leader of your country. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's fair.
Alita.
Hi, Keir. A number of vice-chancellors and former ministers have warned that universities will have to increase funding or student fees to avoid bankruptcies in the next few years. You've accepted you can't abolish tuition fees as you want to prioritise the NHS, but can you rule out raising?
And those things aren't mutually exclusive. I don't know why one leads to the other inexorably at all.
Yeah, I saw some fucking Lib Dem saying, well, I would rather have a fully funded NHS than having students pay a little bit less in tuition. And I was like, this is a false dilemma you have created here. Have you ever heard of this thing called progressive taxation?
Yeah. Also, we used to be able to fund universities. We could do that again. The thing we could do.
Tuition fees.
Well, on the question of tuition fees, let me take that head on, because I think the current arrangements don't work for students, and I don't think they work for universities. So there's a powerful case for change, and we are looking at options to change the approach. Now, abolishing tuition fees is one option, and I said 5 years ago, or whatever it was, that I would want to do that. But now there's been huge damage to the economy done by Liz Truss and the Tories in the last 5 years, and difficult choices have to be made. And abolishing
thanks for giving him that.
Difficult choices.
Yeah, difficult choices. Do I got that one? I don't think I do. Oh fuck.
Tuition fees would cost a huge amount of money, and we can't both abolish tuition fees and have 40,000 extra appointments every week in the NHS.
Yes, you can if you tax the rich.
Can. Yeah, we literally could do that. Actually,
we've done the sums. We can't have both. So I've taken a political.
We've done the sums.
Oh my god, I hate this verbiage.
And that is the political choice of the Labour Party. That is what we put before the
political choice you've made is not to tax the rich, you fucker. Again, you've made the easy option of making sure all the oligarchs are happy that you're not inconveniencing them, because that's easy because they don't have political. They have loads of political power, and kids who you're going to saddle with debt have no political power. The tough choice would be to stand up to those who have the political power to help those who don't. We don't care about tough choices. You care about winning.
That's why I scoff when he says we've done the math, or we've done the sums, as if you're the government. You get to choose what the input is there by choosing, who to tax and at what rate and when and on what and all the rest of it, right? So you've chosen to have a smaller number going into that mathematical equation than you might otherwise, which then means, we've got no money at the end of it. Okay, increase that fucking number then, you prick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that difficult.
It's this neoliberal market fundamentalism end of history bullshit. Whatever system that we have now is unchangeable. We can't change it. We can't change the kind of structure of what we have at the moment. So we can only tinker. And unfortunately, raising taxes is a change rather than a tinker. So we can't do it. That is the kind of false trap that we have set for ourselves. We have mediated the acceptable terms of the debate, and it is from centre to right wing and nowhere else.
It's just David Cameron. We're just getting David Cameron forever now.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the electorate know you have to make difficult choices, because after what has happened in the last 5 years, they've had to make difficult choices. Things that they had hoped to do, examples I've given today, people who wanted to get bigger houses, etc., have had to make the choice not to do it because they can't, because the economy has been damaged. No different in a way to the choice I've had to make, which is the NHS, and we won't be able to do what we wanted on tuition fees. Thank you, Alita. Can I go to Michael at the Express? Michael.
No pushback.
Thank you, Sir Keir.
That's just
Are the 15 EU countries looking to secure a Rwanda-style deal wrong?
I think what they're proposing is some sort of third country.
By the way, I'd like to point out it's almost 1 a.m. and I'm quite tired.
Should we just leave it?
Yeah. Keir Starmer's making me fall asleep.
That's absolutely fair enough. You're jet lagged and all. Well, it's not that jet laggy, I suppose.
An hour's worth of jet lag. But even so, it's
it's tired. Traveling is tiring.
It is. I mean, it's been very tiring. I did get up at 6 a.m. this morning. So.
Fair enough. Here we go. Hang on a minute. Yes. So, everyone go and follow No Justice MTG, literally the queen of Magic the Gathering.
Absolutely. I can go follow KFLogan1875 over on Twitch, or at Ploppy111 over on YouTube. Go drop a sub, go drop a membership. Again, 99p to be a Kevin Logan member over on YouTube, so I highly recommend you do that. And also, whilst we're here, if you want to check out my Patreon, which is patreon.com/NoJusticeMTG. That's a really good place to go and set up a monthly donation, because they take the smallest cut of any donation that you do compared to YouTube and Twitch.
Yes. Okie doke, everyone. Yeah.
Were you sticking around or?
No, I'm fucking up as well. Yeah, I will. I'm sure stream a million times between now and election day and all the rest of it. And I can't wait to see you back on Navarra Media now.
Absolutely. Was it you who's been blocked by the 27 Club, or am I going mad?
Yeah, I was, and I don't know why. I still don't know why. And okay, whatever. It's if you want to go into that, I'll just raid into someone else. Not a problem.
No, I always like to do the double raids. It's cute watching the reactions for people when they come in with a double raid.
It is fun. Amy C3.
I mean, she's gaming, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just do that then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amy's,
you go and say hello to Amy.
Even if people drop a follow, just because I know people talk about housing policy is something that's important to me, so I'm glad that she talks about that.
Have a good night. Thanks for stream.
Yes, she's very good with that.
No problem. I'll be back tomorrow for probably a very, very long stream. Since I'll be back in the swing of things, I need to start pumping out the content. I've been away for too long and it's cost me money. So I will definitely. Thank you for the bits, Scouse Raw. I'll be back tomorrow. Everyone follow Kev. Take care. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.